Hey guys, welcome back to the show for a rare Wednesday night live. We're going live early this week because of Halloween tomorrow, and we know everybody has plans, including us. So we just decided we'd jump on here tonight, answer some questions, tell some stories about some recent happenings, and just have some fun. Thank you guys all for being here. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so in November 9th, in like next weekend actually, not this weekend, next weekend, I'll be in South Dakota for the Star Knowledge Conference. If anybody wants to come out there and hang out, I'll be speaking on Saturday, I believe. I'm really excited about it. Those tickets are still available. That link is below in the description. And tickets are on sale for our event, Rebels of Disclosure 2025 in Grafton, Illinois, once again, May 12th through the 15th. Take advantage of the early bird special. You get, I don't even know how much the actual discount is, but you save a considerable amount of money before Black Friday. The 4 day pass includes a t-shirt and a live stream pass. So it's a great deal. Take advantage of that before Black Friday. And we hope to see you guys there. We just made a few additions to the lineup. Arcturus Ra and our good friend Nikki Anna Jones, who Aaron was just in Peru with. She's been on our show. She's hilarious. She has some amazing information, and she's going to be a great addition to the conference. We're excited to have her and Arcturus Ra as well. I was just with him in Sedona, and I was actually blown away when I did that radio show with him and been spending time with him. He's just loaded with this wisdom that he's been getting, this information from his star family for decades now. And I don't know how he slipped under the radar for me all over all these years, but I'm really glad I met him, and we're glad to have him join us as well. And how you doing, Aaron? What's going on for you?
I'm doing great. Um, Doing really good. Like you said, just got back from Peru a little over a week ago. Um, and it was led by, like you said, Nikki Anna Jones and Mike from Wandering Wolf Productions. If you've noticed, Mike, he just interviewed Graham Hancock, and Joe Rogan's been giving him shout outs about his work with Sagewall. Graham Hancock's been giving him shout outs about Sagewall. So he's starting to kind of blow up. You might have seen him out there. And it was amazing. It was a phenomenal trip. It was about 8 or 9 days. I think 8 days, nine with travel maybe. And we went to Machu Picchu, Sacsayhuaman, Allente Tambo, a bunch of other places. And it was just incredible. I mean, it's like one thing to you hear about these places and see pictures online and maybe even video, but or read about them, but then you go there in person, it's a whole other experience, and it's like a spiritual experience on top of just like you're in awe of these megalithic structures that are very unexplainable, of like how they were built, who built them, how did they build them, why did they build them, what's going on here. It's definitely not what the mainstream tries to tell you, clearly. You can even see, because they try to tell you in Peru that the Incas are the ones that built all this stuff, but that was in like the 1400s. And you can see what the Incas built. Usually it's like on top of the more ancient megalithic stuff. And it's like nowhere near, it's like shoddy, comparatively. And it's clearly not built by an advanced civilization, but then you see this stuff that they build on top of or right next to, and that's clearly built by a very advanced civilization, kind of like the stuff in Egypt and these other places where you're like, we can't build it today. We can't do
Yeah,
what they did.
I liken it to
Right.
the like Tartaria photos of like
Right.
the basically the amazing castle next to the wooden
Hmm.
shack type of,
Right. It's like that,
Yeah,
right? And you're
yeah,
like, we're told the same civilization built both of those somehow.
right,
It doesn't make any sense.
right.
Doesn't add up. And especially not the time frame of when oh yeah, it was just built like 800 years ago, like at most seven,
Right.
800 years ago.
I mean,
No, 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 no. It was
the evidence,
thousands, many thousands of years ago.
the evidence is in the construction techniques too.
Mhm.
What are you
Right.
supposed to believe? They just like got lazy one day and like, we're just gonna like stop using
Right.
these big blocks and use these
And,
little bricks,
and like just completely changed and made it way shittier for no reason. Like, or it got lost, that the skills got lost somehow, and then they could only build like that. Like, it doesn't add up. Nothing adds up about what they tell you. So, you're seeing it. It almost looks like these megalithic stones, by the way, many of which weigh upwards of 150 tons, 150 to even some 200 tons, and especially on Machu Picchu. So you're telling me they got these giant stones that weigh that much way up this mountain somehow. So
Right.
just getting it up there is unexplainable. How did they do that? And then the precision, and each one is a different, completely different shape, and they're all so precisely locked in with no mortar. There's like no mortar in the ancient stuff. There's no mortar used. And the newer stuff there is mortar used, and that's, you can tell, okay, they use mortar. And like this ancient stuff, it's like it looks like the stones were melted and then solidified. Like that's what
Right.
it looks like.
I mean, they were. That's
Right.
like the only explanation. It's like
It's the only explanation.
if it looks like it, that's what it is. I mean,
Right.
not always, but in
Right.
this case, I'm pretty sure like that's what happened. We're just, programmed to believe otherwise.
Right.
And
And they
guys,
were
by
able
the
to
way,
levitate and
yeah,
do all the stuff with that type of,
right.
frequency technology and scalar technology and stuff like that.
And by the way, if you guys have any questions for us, as always, just right there, just like Go Janet did. That's a perfect example. Put question in all caps right before the question, and we will get to your question as soon as we can. Her question is, what's this beef inside our spiritual community that I keep hearing about? General concepts, no names, please. Thanks. I hope we can all talk. I mean, the beef is just everybody trying to find their way right now. Everybody, there's unhealed people. We're all unhealed, right? And we're all just trying to figure things out. Nobody really knows what they're doing. And some people who haven't let go of that ego programming and they're still very ego driven, I would say that they get to a place where they really truly believe that their information is the end all be all information, and they honestly believe that they're the only ones that are right. And that's the red flags to look for. So whenever you got those people becoming the bigger names in the community, they're threatened by other people that are rising
Mhm.
that have um, different information, that contradictory information, I guess you could say. So it's just a matter of people really just not looking in the mirror and taking accountability for what they need to do, to get themselves in alignment and start healing. Because what happens is people are out there pointing their fingers, and everybody squeezes into this mold of like this kind of like fake version of themselves. When they go through an awakening, they escape their old life and they're like, oh, I'm this new person now. But they actually didn't heal any of their old life, right? They didn't heal the old
Right.
version of themselves. So as they go along in the awakening journey, that old version starts slipping through the cracks, and you start sealing all the unhealed trauma and all the wounds and everything surface and all the projection, and it creates a gigantic mess. And that's what we're in right now. So I mean, you can go on and on and on explaining how this is all, how it all works, and, dissecting it. But I think really everyone's doing their best. And some people just really need to look in the mirror and ask themselves, if, I don't know, they just have to start taking accountability instead of pointing their fingers.
Yeah, and get out of your ego. Like, why? Only someone who's like super inflated in their ego about their information or a certain narrative will attack other people because they don't have the same information, or that something about them is it's like a threat. Like you said, they're threatened by other information. Why? Like, why, unless it's all about you and your ego? Otherwise, you're not going to care what other people are doing or saying. You're just going to keep focusing on what you believe is the truth, and love, and the true disclosure, and your own work. Like, why do you have to try to force everyone into your box, and anyone who's not in it, you have to demonize, and it's this us versus them game you see a lot of people playing. It's like you're either with us or you're the enemy. That's the
Yeah.
whole like vibe you get from a lot of these groups that get created. These like clubs that get created, these groups. And they're the only ones with the correct information. They're the only ones with the correct narrative. Everyone else is at best misled, or at worst evil and the enemy and must be attacked. And a lot of times what I've seen is like they're really threatened by other like big names in the community that aren't on their page, aren't on their in their club, and they have to attack them. And they have if they can't get them in their group, then they're the enemy, and then they attack them. And that's what people have done to us, to Tyler and I, where even people we used to be friends with, just because we don't agree and don't see eye to eye with them on some things, now we're the enemy. Now they have to attack us and make us into
And yeah,
the enemy and bad
and
guys.
that's because like we're dealing with narcissists here and people who
Right.
are literally being controlled by entities in some cases. And
Hmm.
mind control, there are
Absolutely.
infiltrators, there are plants, there's any all the above is possible. But what happens in your personal life whenever you're dealing with a narcissist in your personal life and you start to call them out, instead of them taking accountability, what happens? You can no longer fit into their life. The only role that you can play in their life because you are now a threat is the enemy.
Right.
And so that's what happens. As soon as, even
Mhm.
if you just ask a question to a narcissist about something that they're doing that even holds a mirror up slightly, you have to be the enemy because you're no
How
longer
dare you question
yeah,
them?
how dare
Right.
you? You're no longer throttling their ego, and you're now a threat. You're the enemy. Oh, he doesn't agree with everything I say. He doesn't like me. He doesn't flatter me every step of the way. So he's got to be enemy number one. He can't fit into my life. That's the only role he can play,
Hmm.
and that's what happens.
Right. Right.
Mm. Okay, so yeah, there's so much we want to talk about tonight too, as far as I oh, by the way, so if anybody wants to know what happened to me in Springfield, whenever I was essentially poisoned and went to the hospital, I told that whole story as vulnerable as I could on our Patreon. There was some details I just didn't want to go fully public with. So if anybody hasn't heard that story and they want to hear the whole version of the story, Aaron and I sat down and recorded almost a 2 hour long video, and we just went deep, and I told every detail that I could remember. And the link for the Patreon is on our website. It's also below in the description. It's only $5 to sign up. And it's not that I'm charging you $5 to hear my story. I just really didn't feel compelled to just make this a public thing. So anybody who really wants to know, they can sign up and check it out there. Um, but there was some things in that video that I talked about where when I went to Sedona recently for the Odyssey event, I ended up staying at this man's house. He was an 85-year-old gentleman who is a quantum physicist who worked 40 years for the shadow government. And he shared with me some incredible information. I shared a lot of it in the video that Aaron and I did on Patreon, but then I realized after the fact that there was a lot I didn't share because it was just so hard to remember in the moment. So I took notes like throughout the week, and so I'm going to be like sharing some of the information that he shared with me. And it's just mind-blowing stuff, actually. And put it this way,
Yeah.
like he won't talk on camera, but if he would, it would be a breakthrough interview. Like he could be like the greatest whistleblower of our time, but he won't. He's not interested. He genuinely just he's okay with where he's at, and he doesn't see why he's 85. He has a very different mindset than we do about all this, and he's just
Yeah.
content. And he was told at one point that anybody that he shared the information with on camera wouldn't make it across the street alive with the footage or something along those
I
lines.
highly disagree with them on that
Well,
because
that was
I mean,
something he was,
I
yeah,
totally respect where how why he feels. I respect that he feels that way. I just strongly disagree that that is
right.
the case because look at how much is out there with the internet these days,
Well,
especially in the last like 10 years.
it's very apparent to me when
I
after
mean,
talking to him, he has no idea that people are talking about this stuff like
that's
in the capacity that we are.
well, see, I didn't realize he was that old. When you just told me he was
Yeah,
85, you just a light bulb just went off. I'm like, that's why he believes that. Because he
yeah,
comes from that generation where way before the internet, where
yeah.
no one was talking about this stuff. And that probably was the case 30 plus years ago,
Yeah.
where if you're
And
one of the
he
sole few people talking about this stuff, you get taken out like Phil Schneider and others back then,
right.
right?
He also he's still very loyal to the people that he worked for. and the extraterrestrials that he worked for, and he has good
Mm,
relationships, and he still has credentials to access the underground, to he still basically has access to that world. And I feel like
mm.
more than being like worried about somebody being killed for sharing the information, I think he's more worried about losing that access if he starts to talk. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
probably the bigger thing. He doesn't want to
yeah,
lose, right? He'll
yeah.
get cut off. He's afraid if he
Mhm.
does a public interview or anything like that.
Right. So, we can get into who is this guy again? So he is, I won't use his name, but he's an 85-year-old quantum physicist that worked 40 years for the shadow government, reverse engineering, extraterrestrial craft, and many other technologies, working with extraterrestrials side by side, traversing the universe, and very advanced craft that he actually personally helped reverse engineer. He trained with Aboriginals in Africa, Easter Island, and Australia, him and a number of other people, in order to learn how to physically teleport their bodies because the UFOs that they were recovering didn't have doors. They didn't know how to get inside of them. So they needed these guys to learn how to actually bilocate and physically teleport their body inside of the craft so they could get inside and figure it out and reverse engineer it. And in order to do that, these men spent years actually living among the Aboriginals. In particular, him, he said he spent time in Africa, Easter Island, and Australia. And basically, like 9 months at a time, he would just have to become one of them. And he explained that they had the Aboriginals all have telepathic abilities. They're all in communication with the Star People. They all use a natural portal system, and they all have the ability to teleport. They're like superhumans in a way.
Hmm.
And he said that, if a village was ever under threat, the entire village could literally slip through a portal or teleport out of harm's way until the danger was gone and they could come back. Or in some cases, he said they would even hide their kids in a portal just outside of our reality.
Hmm.
It's essentially the same thing a Sasquatch can do.
You know what just popped into my mind? There's an episode of Stargate SG-1. I think it's in season one, actually. I think it's in the very first season. What everything you just described is like in that episode. They go to this planet and there's these very primitive looking people, kind of like what you would imagine like Aboriginals,
Mhm.
like living in tribes and stuff, but they all have these innate abilities turned on where they can go in and out of dimensions and hide themselves, hide their whole village, hide everyone on their planet, um
Oh yeah,
and do all these things. You know what I'm
I
talking
know
about?
exactly what episode you're talking about. It
Everything you
just
just said, it's like that's what that's disclosing.
yeah, and their healing abilities and all of it.
And their healing abilities. Yeah.
But it's interesting that our government sends our best men to go train with the Aboriginals because they know who the Aboriginals are. The movie The Green Beautiful, whenever they come to Earth in a
Right.
sphere, they're able to communicate. The ETs are able to communicate with the Aboriginals. They're the only ones
Right.
on the planet that they can communicate with.
Right. So that movie's disclosure as well. Yep.
Yeah. Um, but he told me so many interesting things that I talked about. But some of the stuff, I'm gonna pull up my notes. Some of the stuff I didn't talk about. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, throw them in. So Stargate, actually, I was asking them about how they traverse the galaxy and stuff, and he brought up Stargate, and he could not stress to me enough how real that show is.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I heard some of the scripts are like direct like mission reports that they just turned into episodes. And he's like, yeah, like he was like
Yeah.
exactly, like in some cases exactly, like you were seeing, like it's not even science fiction. He couldn't
Hmm.
stress enough that that show was so much disclosure.
Yeah.
And
And David Wilcock talks about that of like he's had multiple insiders tell him the same exact thing. They're like, what they told him, he's like, they specifically told me to watch Stargate SG-1, and they go, everything you're watching on that show is true. Like
yeah,
everything you see on that show is
yeah,
is actually true, is real.
he could not stress it enough.
So there you
And
go. That's even more confirmation.
yeah,
Yeah.
he told me about he worked he's traveled many of the underground tunnels, the tunnel network. He said it goes all over the world. He
Mm-hmm.
said Dulce is 27 levels, not 7 levels like the Dulce plans. Like it is seven
Yeah.
levels, but that's all we know about.
And then it goes way deeper than that. That's where the
Yeah.
yeah stuff they don't
He,
want you knowing about.
and he said that there is a Stargate down there that where many ETs come and go from the planet down there.
Mm-hmm.
And man, there was just so much. I was like, How far have you been in space?" He said he's been all over the galaxy and beyond, and I was
Really?
like, "How far have you been?" And he's like, "Well, there's no signpost out there." So he's like, "You don't know technically how far you are." And he said, "We're not traveling like we are in Star Trek." He's like, "You get in this craft and then you're instantaneously there."
It's not like you're
Um,
flying through space like we think of. It just
some s-
instantly.
Depending on your level of consciousness and belief system, I asked him that. I said, "Are there
Mm,
craft out there that take, let's just say, 3 months to get to Mars?" And he said, "If you believe it needs to take you 3 months to get to Mars, then it will take you 3 months to get to Mars. It literally is based on your belief system and the level of
hmm.
technology you're operating with."
Yeah.
But he said the
And
craft that they were using were basically the craft itself was like a teleportation device, essentially.
hmm.
And he
Yeah.
did say that he did verify jump rooms and all that stuff were very real.
Hmm.
And
And there's a whole spectrum of tech of levels of technology, so to speak, where, you know, in my opinion, there's civilizations spanning that whole spectrum where there's the ones that they just have like the anti-gravity craft where they can kind of fly around one solar system, let's say, but that's about it. And then there's ones that can do that, but they're flying around a whole bigger section of space, but they're still flying from point A to point B. And then you have all the way to what you're describing where they don't need they can literally just basically teleport to
right.
anywhere they want to. And then there's beings that they don't even need a physical any kind of craft at all. They can just think of a place anywhere and then they're instantly there
Yeah.
basically as
And
well.
and
So
that's so that's like the whole secret of everything. So it's really interesting. This whole story right now that we're all living, this movie,
mhm.
it ends where it began with the Aboriginals. Like everything that they can do, we're trying to get back to. Like so it literally
Right.
ends where it began.
Right.
And once we achieve that, and he explained that you can't just teleport. Like if you want to teleport, you can't just greedily do it. He goes, if you can't just want to show off to your friend and teleport. You have to have the purest intention behind the reason that you feel you need to relocate your physical body and transport your physical body. It has to be a
Mhm.
heart-based decision. And he said
Mhm.
you have to have a pure vessel, like all the chakras in alignment, a clean diet, like everything that we all like strive for. Like it's true. Like it really takes that to be at one with the planet and the universe to actually be able to shift your body out of this reality and into another reality or into another dimension.
Mhm.
And he said you also, because I was asking him like, can you teach me how to teleport? And he was explaining, well, it's like a whole lifestyle change, but also he said first and foremost, you need to know how to remote view. And he said the reason being is that you can teleport. If you can get yourself to phase out, but you don't know where you're going, you could literally end up inside of a rock. And he used the Philadelphia
Philadelphia
experiment
experiment.
as an example. He said
Mhm.
that's what happened with them. They didn't have a psychic navigator. They didn't know where they were going, and they
Mhm.
ended up in the walls of the ship. He said you have to be able to remote view so well that you can remote view an unknown location and see the ground so you can make sure your feet are going to land on the ground. You have to be able to like be there in your head before you can ever even think about wanting to go there, you know? You have to
Mhm.
see it fully, like be able to remote view it. Without that, you just you could try, but you might not survive, you know?
Right. Right. Makes sense. Yeah.
Um So what else did he tell me? So he was the caretaker for extraterrestrials that came through the planet or to the planet through the Dulce portal, and he would basically take care of them for up to 30 days before they were assigned wherever they were going to go or doing whatever they would do. He would make sure all their needs were met. So he's met ETs. He said that, he out of his own mouth, he's worked with more ETs than humans, and from all over the galaxy, all different shapes and sizes, 6 legs. I mean, he said things, beings we can't even like fathom the shape of, on top of, the regular ones, Pleiadians and
Wow.
Nordics and all that stuff. Uh, yeah, he was telling me he's like he doesn't celebrate any holidays because
No,
they're all nonsense. They're all
yeah.
fake.
Yeah. I mean,
He's
that's
like, and
true.
he's like, especially Christmas.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's
he,
just winter solstice, Saturnalia.
yeah,
And then Easter is spring equinox,
right,
or celebrating Ishtar, which is where Easter comes from. It's a goddess. It's a pagan. They're all pagan. Not all, but Easter and Christmas are pagan
hmm,
holidays that just got Christianized when the Roman Catholic Church took over, and they had to kind of
right,
like appease the pagans and appease the Christians, and they just mashed it all together. And they're like, these are all Christian. This is all Christian now,
right.
which it's not at all, and it's way more ancient than that. But
Mhm.
even that is like, you know, it all comes from an origin point
Yeah,
and for a reason. But it's like the holidays. You can research, like, we don't just celebrate holidays to celebrate a holiday. It's like there's always a reason it started, and it's like, okay, you can celebrate it for that reason if you want, but like we all nowadays just celebrate a holiday because everyone celebrates the holiday. We don't even know why we're really, except
right,
for Christmas. People think it's the birth of Jesus, but it's not. It's
right.
Saturnalia, or it's winter solstice. And that's not actually when Jesus was even born. But then they're like, some people know that, and they're like, well, we're still celebrating on that day, and it's like, okay, fine, it's good and well if you want to do that, but like
Right,
it's all gone so like people just do things, and just because everyone's doing them, and no one even, so many things,
right.
no one even knows why they're really doing them. That's a whole other topic
He
that
did
we could
say
talk about for a while.
he did say that the ETs all believe in the benevolent ones. Obviously, believe in a source or a God, like a very much of a like a
Yeah,
creator. They all understand that,
they all
and
understand that. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
even like a discussion. It's just they
right.
all have a knowing,
Um,
innate knowing of that, which is what eventually
yeah.
we'll get to.
So what threw me off about this guy, the first time I met him, I was, I stayed the night in his house. I didn't even meet him yet. And I came out to get some water in the morning. He was sitting at the kitchen table and I looked at him, and like this was right after I had that whole experience in Springfield. So I've actually been like having some abilities come on after that, like getting weird stuff like downloads and whatever. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Hmm.
But I literally seen this dude's aura radiating like crazy. I've never seen somebody. It was like waves were coming off of him. And after I got talking to him, he claims that he is an ET, like he was a walk-in, and he knows exactly where he came from and has all the memory, and like he was like able to access that by working with them and talking with them. But
Hmm.
he claims that like his soul, like him now, is after the walk-in, he's an ET.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I believe it. I was like, I'm like watching your aura right now. It's just going woo, woo, woo. It
No,
was
yeah.
crazy. Um, yeah, he's just like chilling outside of Sedona in a house, and this is the crazy thing. I said I was talking to him about, whenever I was in the early stages of asking him questions. I said, "You ever been in a UFO?" And he laughed and he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "There's actually one parked here on my land right now." And
Really.
I was like, "Wait, you mean like physically in this dimension or like in another dimension?" He's like, "No, physically, you just can't see it. It's cloaked." And he owns quite a bit of land out there. And I said, "Tell me more." I said, can we
Right.
go for a ride?" He was laughing. He said, it was a gift from the Lemurians, essentially.
Really.
It was a gift from the Lemurians, and he told me it's about 4,000 square foot, and um, he explained to me what it looks like, the control panel and everything, and he said it's there anytime. Like he was like it's basically there if shit ever hits the fan. Like he has a place to go, essentially.
Is it like emergency use only kind of thing? Like
Well,
you can't
he
just
could
ride
use it.
around.
He could use it for other things, but he said like only he would only ever use it if it was an emergency. Um, It was amazing. But so what he did, he was brought in, he just signed up for the Air Force. He joined the Air Force and he had these crazy high test scores, and he was approached by two men in black suits, and they asked him if he wanted to work for the private sector, and blah blah blah. They just, gave him this elevator pitch, and they told him that you will be working with beings not of this planet. And he basically said yes. Like, it was pretty much that simple the way he made it sound. And what they brought him in to do originally was, the Philadelphia experiment. Whenever the technology didn't work, they wanted him to figure out that technology and get it to work, because uh, it was about the size of a living room, he said, the technology. And he said that after decades of reverse engineering and working on it and getting it to actually work, and so they wouldn't get stuck in the walls, they got it down to about the size of a credit card. And he said
Mm.
it's a dimensional shift technology, which is actually something I talked about in my presentation at the conference this year. Um, he says it's dimensional shift technology. And what it does is it allows any physical object or person to shift dimension, shift outside of this dimension and travel in another dimension and then come back. That's how they stay hidden. That's how the UFOs stay hidden. That's how the craft stay hidden. But it's also like a teleportation device. And he said it's literally the size of a credit card, and it could even be, he said it can even be stuck on the side of a rock and used to levitate the rock. Like, it just can do like so many amazing things. And he said you could have it in your pocket, and you can just dimensionally shift yourself. He said if you had it in a house and you turn it on, the house would literally disappear out of this reality.
Wow.
Uh, and it was just incredible stuff. But he claims to have like personally been involved with reverse engineering that and getting it from the size of a room to like the size of an iPad, down to a phone, down to a credit card, something you could put in your pocket essentially. And he said that's the technology that they use to travel the universe. I mean, they can just go places like that, like in an instant with it.
Wow.
Um,
Um, did you get a chance to talk to him about his thoughts on what's currently happening, and does he
he
think things are going to be going in a good direction as far as like disclosure of everything and the downfall of the cabal and all that kind of stuff?
So he has what I call Emery Smith programming. Remember how Emery Smith would be like the worst, the only bad ones are humans. Like, humans are the worst ones. Like,
Oh,
we're the
yeah.
problem.
Like Stephen Greer says the kind of the same
Yeah,
thing too.
he's very much in that programming where he thinks that humans are the problem. Like, it's not anybody's fault but our own. And it's like that older generation. It's like what they
Yeah.
were like fed in the programs, and it's
Yeah,
still,
but look at how much we've been suppressed and manipulated and kept in the dark. Like,
dude,
so yeah, part of that's true, but
he doesn't
they're
keep up
missing a
with
whole huge
I
piece
I he literally doesn't keep up with anything new. Like, he just knows what he knows from his time, and like he's just living life, and he's just happy to be alive, and he's developed his whole house is like a science lab, and he's developing like quantum technology and free energy stuff. He has crazy devices all over his home, and he's like could care less about what's going on out there. You know what I
on
mean?
the outside world outside
Yeah,
of
yeah.
his yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
not even keeping up with new. I'm just like going back hundreds of years, thousands of years even. Humanity has been so manipulated, so suppressed, and
right.
so steered in the wrong direction that, you know, and that is why there is so much outside help, because karmically, and because we've been it's the playing field has been the cards have been so stacked against us, and the playing field is so unlevel because of all that, that we don't stand a chance, because we like, you know, it's like ants versus elephants, you know, or something. Like,
Right.
it's like we need that to level the playing field so we can wake up and take our power back even.
So Lily
You
just
know, it's
said
like you can't just say, oh well, it's your fault and you're screwed, you know. It's like, okay, so you have these extremely advanced ETs dominating the planet, and we've been suppressed, and like we're being poisoned from every angle 24/7, propagandized 24/7, and you know,
Cliff,
all the rest of it. Like, how do you
right,
expect humanity to win? You know, we have to have some kind of outside help, which has been happening and is happening, and
right.
we are
Somebody
taking our
said,
power back though at the same time. So,
somebody
anyways,
said Cliff High says you can't transport the physical body. Cliff High
yeah,
is also,
that's not true.
he's
The
also the
fight doesn't.
guy who literally got drunk and rammed a gate at ECETI
Yeah,
during the
yeah,
conference.
yeah. Him and his
Like,
like posse, they
yeah,
got
they
drunk
like
and
they got drunk and tried to sabotage the
broke
conference
into
by
ECETI.
driving through the gate. Um,
That being said, Cliff High, not every some of what he says is spot on and is good, but
right.
that's some of it is not, and that is a good example of something he said that is absolute BS and is not true.
Well, that's exactly like the people that actually think that they know something like that. Like, how could you think? Why would you even think that you know that?
Right,
That
right,
you know what I mean? That you
right,
can't like that's
dude,
ego. You know what I
right.
mean?
That's what we were just talking about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of that.
Um,
No, I'm right, and
right.
anyone says differently is
So
wrong,
yeah,
and
Lily knows this
who
guy
knows?
too. Lily Nova knows this guy, this quantum physicist, and she said he's not very awake to the political stuff or the dark stuff. He's just not.
Oh
But
yeah.
he has incredible information about everything, but he's just not on top of it. And
Well, it is very compartmentalized, and
yeah,
if he didn't personally experience any of that and hasn't researched it, including
exactly.
that old, it makes sense he wouldn't, you know.
And
So yeah,
it's like you ever try to change an 85-year-old's mind about something? Like, you know what I
right,
mean? They're like
right.
hard-headed,
They're set in their
people.
ways,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
So they just don't want to hear it.
not interested, right?
But he told me about the underground tunnel network, and he said there's 9 bases, underground bases under Sedona in the surrounding area. He said, which he confirmed this, we know this, but he said the enchantment resort is owned by the military, and that's how you access the underground. And there's entrances to inner earth around Sedona area too. He said, if you know exactly where to go in the desert, you'll find a set of stairs, he said. Um, but he told me if you're driving up to the enchantment resort, instead of going up the hill, if you make a left on whatever road, I've never been there. And he goes, you went down, it kind of like spider webs out. But he goes, if you found your way far enough down one of those roads, he said you would be approached by a black SUV with, men with guns, but they wouldn't be human. They would look human,
Mm-hmm.
um, because that is the entrance to the underground. And he said he confirmed all he knew all about Telos and the inner Earth civilizations, and he called them the Inner Earth Society. He said he's been invited down there, but he was preoccupied with what he was doing, for the shadow government. He never actually made it down there, but he confirmed all that. But the one interesting thing he told me was when they were born, he told me all about the plasma boring machines and stuff. And by the way,
Mm-hmm.
he said the big, massive tunnels that are so big, like you can fit like 4 semis wide. He said those are the old ancient ones that they don't even know where they came from. To their best guess, and he knows this because he knew the teams that went down there to try and date them. He said their best estimate is that they're at minimum 100 million years old.
Yeah,
100 million years old, an advanced tunnel network that literally traverses the entire planet.
right.
He said you could literally drive your truck underground in Sedona and drive around the world because these tunnels go under the oceans and everything.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
And
Yeah,
but
there you go.
the one thing he said it was interesting, he goes, when they were boring under Colorado, they hit an aquifer, an underground aquifer, and it was water, it was basically supplying water to many areas in Colorado, the whole surrounding area. And they hit this and it created what he called a catastrophic mishap, and they screwed up the water supply for all the surrounding area. And if there's actually this tunnel in Colorado called, or this pipeline, like hydro pump system in Colorado called Adams Tunnel, and it's a water pipeline system that they like built in the mountains. It doesn't really make sense. It's like if you really start digging into it, you're like, why would they ever do this? Well, that was why. So when they hit this aquifer, they had to fix it. So they built Adams Tunnel to correct what the water supply, to the entire state, essentially, the surrounding area.
Mm.
And so they had to rechannel the water, and it was like a who knows how much it cost, but it was a massive, massive mistake. He said that was one like they like a lot of guys lost their asses over, you know.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what else? Oh yeah. So he told me, let me pull this up, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Ancient tunnels, Adam's Tunnel. Yeah, so he said the there's a mystic village in the Vatican. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So he said there are what we would call what they call mystics on this planet, people who tap into their true potential, their full potential to do magic essentially. And
Oh wow.
and he said there's a mystic village. He goes, you literally go, like if you're a mystic, if you're one of these people, and you're found out, they'll set up a meeting with the Pope or whoever it is at the Vatican, and they'll interview you to see, test your abilities, to see what you're capable of. And if you can prove to them that you are like you have access to your true potential, and like this one woman that he knows in particular did this, that's how he knows about it. But she was able to just like turn herself into a light body in front of the Pope, and it gained her access to the Mystic Village. And in the Mystic Village, there are these people that all have or have the ability to just do whatever they want, traverse time and space, use access their light body, rainbow body, whatever. He said, but they have what they call transition ceremonies at the Mystic Village in the Vatican, and it's a transition ceremony where they literally choose to just leave this plane. Like they just like how like we hear the inner Earth civilizations how they just decide when they want to die and move
Well,
on.
that's yeah. Well, that's like the Tibetan rainbow body is like that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
There's
He said
been
they'll have transition ceremonies. Well, they'll like all he goes they all lay on the ground and do this weird like ritual thing or whatever, and then they transition into their light body and they move on and they just
Mhm.
go if they don't want to be here anymore. And
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, there's been hundreds of thousands of people in Tibet that have they yeah. It's like they and there's been hundreds of thousands of witnesses to it as well, where they call it a rainbow body because their body starts like vibrating and turns into this light body that's like rainbow colored,
yeah,
and then it fades away, and um all that's left is like hair and nails, like anything that's like dead on your
right,
body, but
right.
everything else just
Oh,
goes like your whole
yeah,
body, and then so
that's
they like
what
transition that way. Yeah.
right. That's what he said that the like whenever you move into the Mystic Village and you go to the home that they have made up for you already, there's like paintings and stuff on the wall of events in your life that that like were painted, like the date of the painting was painted before it ever even happened to you. So you walk in
Mm,
and it's like super trippy. You see a painting of you with a lion or whatever from 2009, but you didn't meet that lion until 2017. And like, how would this be painted in
mm.
2009? It's like weird stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
oh my gosh, what else was I gonna say? Um, something along the lines of light body transitioning. Oh, he said that once you get accepted into the Mystic Village, they give you your real name, not your like Earth given name. They give you your real name, and just by hearing that alone, literally fundamentally changes you. Once you learn what your real name is and actually remember who you are, it just fundamentally changes you, and you have like full access to everything and
Oh
just by
wow.
knowing your actual name. And it's on record, like they have
Yeah,
records of everybody's like who everybody really is.
that's amazing. Yeah.
I just wish this guy would do an interview.
I know.
Yeah,
Speak at a conference.
right.
Yeah.
He told me
Yeah.
that all the information that used to be stored at Langley, CIA, Virginia, is all the information for the programs, everybody's files and everything like that. He goes, it's all at Crowley Ranch now in New Mexico.
Hmm.
And it could be tied to Aleister Crowley. He didn't know, but he said that's like acres of land out there with farmhouses. And he goes, that's where all the alphabet agencies, all those people go to retire. He goes, that
Mm,
whole Crowley Ranch is all three-letter agency retirees, essentially. Um,
interesting.
Anybody have any questions? And, if talking about the Aboriginal people, and you were just in Peru, I think like the people that existed back then were the exact same type of people as the Aboriginals. Like they had those
Yeah.
abilities as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, clearly, just the structures they built are proof of they had some at least crazy technology, but I think they did had those innate abilities turned on as well. Um, and
Um,
there's like, I mean, there's all the, they get called myths and legends of their gods that were doing all these crazy things, Viracocha and like um sky gods and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, they we're told they just like make up these stories and they just kind of come out of nowhere. Well, no, they're describing what happened. It gets passed down, that information, and it turns into myth and legend, but they're telling you their true history.
did you have any like wild experiences down there in Peru? Like parent, like not paranormal, spiritual, go through a portal, like anything crazy?
No, no, I didn't. Amanda had a kind of like an activating moment at Sacsayhuaman, where, but unfortunately, I wish I would have stayed with her now because we kind of split off at one point. She was with two other ladies, and they found a couple like energetic vortex kind of spots, and one of them she started crying, and she had this kind of like spiritual activation kind of thing.
Right.
Um, Other than that. Oh, well, the very last day, this wasn't an official part of the trip. It was Amanda and I, and then Nikki and Joaquin's mom, and our friend Natalie all went to what's called Zona X, which is right next to Sacsay Woman. And it's like, I don't think it's really like, it's not really like a publicized place, but only people that know about it kind of thing. But it's really cool, and it's unfortunately, we think it gets used a lot for like black magic rituals and stuff because it's got this heavy dark kind of energy to it when you go there. So we went there to do grid work and to try to cleanse it and bring light to it and all that kind of stuff. So the last day we went there and did that. Joaquin was getting from his guides or whatever. He's like, we have to go at sunrise. So we had to wake up super early and get there at sunrise, which was like 5:15 a.m. by the way. Um, and we meditated and you could feel it was like a heavy, dense energy there. Like you could feel it. And um, uh, Nikki, who's Nikki Anna Jones, she's been there before, and she claims she's seen a literal gargoyle there, and she also claims she's seen a literal vampire there.
I
She's
believe
like,
it.
I'm like, in your mind's eye, or she's like, no, physically there, like physically could see it. Um, and this time all she saw was a shadow. She says she saw a shadow move across, which I believe. I didn't see anything like that, but I could feel the energy. Um, and after we did our stuff, like you could feel it like lightened a lot. Like you could definitely
Yeah.
feel the difference. And then so we walked around there too after that and explored. And there's a place next to there called Temple of the Moon, which by the way is in the new Ancient Apocalypse series by Graham Hancock. If you
Oh yeah, yeah.
watch, yeah, he goes to some of the places we went to. So see episode 3, season 2, episode 3, he goes to Sacsayhuaman and talks about that. And we were there, and it's amazing. But then he also goes to the Temple of the Moon, and we were like, what? No way, because
Yeah, that's awesome.
we didn't think that many people knew about it. But it's in the new season, episode 3. If you watch that, you can see he goes in it and talks all about it. There's like a giant snake on the wall. There's this huge, he calls it a serpent on the wall, and there's like this giant platform in there that we think it was used either for like birthing or impregnating or maybe both or whatever under the moon, the moon, and under the right alignment or whatever. Um And there's just all these crazy rocks and cutouts and like formations that make no sense. You're just like, what? How did they make this? And what was it for? You know, there's all kinds of crazy stuff all over the
Um,
place there like that.
yeah, yeah, that's incredible. And we have a couple
Yeah.
questions. What what are you folks getting on your intuitive radar right now? I mean, I don't know what you mean by that. That's such a broad question. Maybe you can be a little more specific. And the next question from Go Janet is Halloween evil? Thank you for a
No.
good show. I mean, the Halloween, any of these dates are used. The dark it take the Satanists take advantage of the dates to like do their rituals, but
Right. That doesn't
in
make the date itself evil or that
right,
or
they
the
just use that date, they use that astrological alignment, whatever it is,
right.
to perform a ritual to summon whatever they're trying to summon. And like if you look at the book of demonology, and I only know this because I saw somebody share it, it like puts all the key dates that the Satanists do their rituals on. And yeah,
Hmm.
Halloween is one of them,
Yeah.
but and it's them summoning the dead and casting spells and do with all the stuff. But it doesn't mean that if they weren't there doing that, the day itself wouldn't be evil.
Right. They use yeah, and that it's the same it's just like a cult gets a bad rap because of black magic because it's used for negative, but that doesn't mean the knowledge and the practices themselves are bad. They can be used. It's a tool, like a knife can be used to kill somebody or make a sandwich or do something good, right? So it's a
Right.
tool that can be
Right.
used for both negative or positive. It's just your intent and how you use it. But the yeah, so there's like Samhain, you know, the it's a day that the veil is very thin. It's a time of year where the veil is very thin, and also there's alignments going on, you know, as well. So it's a very powerful kind of like portal day, you could say, where you can very easily contact the spirit realm or do rituals and
Yeah.
uh, you know, it's going to be a powerful day to do any kind of energy work.
Right. But I would,
And unfortunately, the dark uses those, but the light uses those as well. So
right.
we need to use those days to do good to
I mean,
counter it.
I would suggest, since we know how psychopathic these people are, like when Halloween comes around, like, yeah, put up some protection. Don't open yourself up to that stuff. Don't feed it any energy,
Right.
and it won't affect you, you know.
Right.
Obviously, it's
Exactly.
gonna like some people out there like crave fear. They want to go to haunted houses. They want to watch the scary movies. They're the ones who are just consenting to it, you know.
Right.
And like I mean, we can get into the whole topic of scary movies and the loose farming for harvesting from, haunted
Hmm.
houses and stuff like that. But it's all about it. Literally, if you put a movie on, if you put on The Exorcist and hit play, you have now given consent for
Hmm.
you're opening a portal straight into your living room for these negative entities to just come right in and even subliminally like program your mind with whatever
Yeah.
fear, whatever it is, you're
Yeah.
giving your consent. So
You're
I just,
participating in the ritual essentially
yeah,
is
right,
what's yeah, you're literally by watching it, you're participating. It's a ritual that you're participating in,
right.
and your energy is being siphoned and being used for that, for what
Um,
and for their purposes for that, you know.
So, question from Lily: how was your experience in Sedona? How did the energy feel there? Well, my it was amazing for one because I was staying with this quantum physicist, and I got to have some amazing conversations with him. Which, by the way, something else I want to mention that he told me. So I was in the bedroom I was in. I just opened the blinds and I was trying to take a picture of the mountain. And for some reason, my camera, and when I held the camera through the window, the screen on the window, it was like completely blacking out the mountain. I'm like, that's crazy because it looked fine in real life, but it was I couldn't take a picture. And then I noticed there was a screen on the bottom. So yeah, I had this whole conversation with myself in my head about this, screen. I'm thinking that's so crazy. I'm looking, whatever. I go out in the living room or in the kitchen and we're talking, I'm talking to him, and then he brings up on his own about the screens in his house are quantum technology. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Because I was just like looking at your screens and wondering why I couldn't take a picture through them. And he said, yeah, it's a quantum technology that his whole house is lined with, essentially, even the screens on his window. He
Really?
goes, it stops, he said, it literally stops interdimensional beings from coming into his home.
Oh, wow.
It's like
Wow.
they can't access his home to whatever, attack him, whatever. It just like
Right.
stops. They don't have access to that area. And
That
I just
explains
was
why
blown.
you couldn't take a picture through it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I was so baffled by I literally sat there, just in this morning, I was just waking up and I was like looking at the screen, thinking about it. And then he goes out and tells me, it's like, oh, yeah, it's a quantum technology.
Oh yeah, it's quantum
Yeah.
technology.
I was like, dude,
Like, of
that's,
course.
yeah. And, but so my time in Sedona was amazing. It was every time I go there, it's like a new experience. And like, I don't know if it's because it's changing or I'm changing. I'm just perceiving it. I think I'm perceiving more of the
Hmm.
different energetic layers there and the different frequencies.
Yeah.
And this time around, it was like it was almost like I had never been there. And it was incredible. I didn't want to leave. I enjoyed
Hmm.
every second of it. It was, it was quite literally, it was just amazing. And the frequencies there
Yeah.
are just off the charts. And it was hard for me to sleep actually, because it takes you some time to get adjusted to that energy, especially if you're sensitive. But it was great.
The altitude was the rough part in Peru because it's so high up.
Oh,
Like, well, when you
oh yeah.
Lima's not, but when you go to Cusco, it's like way up there. And then you go to some of these places and you're like 11,000, 12,000 feet up some of these places, and it's hard to breathe. It's a lot harder to breathe. And there was one day we hiked up. So one day we just went to Machu Picchu and like walked around, and then we came back the next day and there's a mountain. It's like called like Machu Picchu Mountain or something like that. And there's like these stairs that spiral and go all the way up this mountain, and then once you get to the top you have this amazing view of Machu Picchu. It's awesome, but it's like a really grueling hike. It's like it's rough, it's intense. And
So
and
my,
you're so high elevation. Like I didn't know if I was gonna make it. I was like huffing and puffing and dying like the whole way up.
oh, the air was
Because
thin.
it's
Yeah.
the air's so thin. That was the
Somebody
roughest
asked,
day. Other than
somebody
that,
asked if you went to Lake Titicaca while you're
Titicaca.
there. Yeah.
No, we didn't go to Lake Titicaca. That's actually in Bolivia, technically. You're just across the border, but it's close enough that a lot of people go to it while they're in Peru still. But no, we didn't. I mean, there's so much stuff we didn't do. We didn't have time to do everything. There's the Nazca lines also. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that, I mean, it would take you could spend an entire year in Peru just to see everything that's there, probably.
Right.
Um, but we saw Machu Picchu, which is like the big thing, and then Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo and Moray Terraces and a bunch of other stuff. We saw a lot of cool stuff.
Right.
So
It sounds amazing.
yeah,
Uh,
it was incredible, and you could feel the energy. A lot of these places, like very powerful energy.
and for those who just are now joining, just I want to remind everybody that tickets are on sale for our conference in May next year in Grafton, Illinois, May 12th through the 15th, Rebels of Disclosure 2025. If you get your ticket before Black Friday, you save a considerable, I can't talk, amount of money. And the early bird ticket comes with a live stream pass and a t-shirt. So take advantage of that. Grab your ticket before Black Friday. We hope to see you there. We have a great lineup this year. We're trying to we're very much trying not to do a copy and paste every year. We want to bring new energies, new people. There's so many people we would love to have back every year, but we want to it doesn't make sense to us to just keep doing the same show essentially. So we want to bring new information, new energies, new people, and create an entire new experience. And we're very happy about the lineup this year. Um, uh, s- so what is this question for Lily Nova?
Yeah,
Um, Hi there. I was wondering if whoever you have contact with, how is their lifespan? Sorry if that is a silly question. I'm thankful for all your work. I don't, Lily would have to answer that in the chat, I guess.
yeah. But most from what I know, I can tell you what I know. Most advanced of these ET races that are more advanced than us, um, they're living minimum about 1,000 years, and then upwards of that.
Right.
I've heard of anywhere, I've heard of 2,500, or sorry, yeah, 2,500, 5,000, or even more. Um, but almost always, I always hear like around 1,000 is almost like the minimum of what most of these races live, which
Yep.
just tells you how much, how messed with our DNA has been, that we're not living that long like we should be, in my opinion. That's why in the Bible and all these other ancient texts you see them talking about people living 900, 1,000 years,
Right.
because that's how long we're supposed to live. That's how long a lot of beings and people were living back then.
Exactly.
And I think
Um,
we're going back to that. We are going back to that, in my opinion.
Love always loves said Lily Nova, you should have done this with them. Um, if you want the Zoom link, Lily, you can hop on.
Yeah, you want to hop on, Lily?
You could
Answer
talk
some
about your
questions.
trip.
Talk
Um,
about Sedona.
is that why I don't look 41 years old? You guys are great. Um, Adding Lily is like a frosting on the cake. Lily's probably like, oh, I'm in my pajamas right now. I can't do it.
Oh, we did see some ships, but that's just like,
Right,
there was one night we all were like outside of the hotel we were at, that night. We were at like four different hotels on the trip, but um we were all just laying on the grass, sky watching. And it's funny because about half the group was more like 3D kind of people, and half the group was more like us, like on a
right,
spiritual
right.
level, and into this stuff. And we were the ones pointing out all the ships, and they were like, wait, what? You're like, wait, those aren't satellites? Or like, no, look, that's a. And we definitely saw a bunch of ships there, so that was cool.
Um, I was just thinking about I'm just like, I know there was more to the conversations with this guy. He was talking about parallel universe, parallel Earth, all that
Hmm.
stuff, time travel, other timelines, all the stuff that we talk about. He was just verifying it, and it
Yeah,
was so matter of fact to him, and it was just amazing. And like but it wasn't just matter of fact. He like could expand on it. I mean, he's a quantum physicist, so he understands it,
right.
and it was just amazing. It was just amazing to like know he had like 80 salt lamps in his house, and he said that that's because
Nice.
he said that that's because it's an actual technology. He goes, you'll have the air in his house was cleaner than the air outside because the salt lamps are actually when you have so many of them with
It
the heat,
purifies.
it ionizes the air, purifies the
Hmm.
air,
Oh yeah.
and he said like if he has literally I'm talking like 8 salt lamps in every room in the living room. They're just everywhere, like the
Makes me
whole
want to get
house.
makes me want to get more salt lamps.
Right. And
Yeah,
that is
no, that's very
amazing.
true. That's very true. Especially with the heat there. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The ionize, yeah, like you said, the ionization, it's
right.
very purifying. Well, salt in general, what does Laura Van Tyne always say? She's like, salt cleanses in all dimensions.
Yeah.
And that's why people use salt for protection or for rituals or things like that, because
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
very
that's like a
powerful.
bonus. I mean, it's clearing the
That's
air, but it's also protecting your
it's
home
also protecting you
energetically.
spiritually,
Yeah.
right? And from cleansing all dimensions. So get salt lamps, people. Salt, or just salt in general, is very protective and very cleansing. And eat good
Um,
salt, like pink salt.
so
Oh, by the way, we did go to a salt mine, Mara salt mine there, and there's like thousands of these like salt pools. It's really cool. And we bought a bunch of salt from there, so it's like amazing salt, um, that we
um
brought back. So that was cool too.
that's great. Question: do you think the 85-year-old knows the main character in the Sands of Times books? I thought the same thing, but he did not
Did you? I was gonna
know.
say, did you ask him about that?
Any name that I mentioned to him, he never heard of them. Like he just doesn't
Any?
know. Like I only mentioned a few, but he was like, I don't like he doesn't know about like a lot of
Like
the
Bob
research.
Lazar even,
I
or
didn't ask him
that big?
that,
Oh,
but
okay.
um he just didn't seem to know many people. But I wondered that myself. I just never asked him, because he
Yeah.
had all the same information and was working on the like he literally was working on the Philadelphia experiment, like not on it, but they brought him in to fix the problem,
Hmm.
and they got it working. They got the technology working, and then they, downsized it, like I said, which I thought was amazing. And yeah, he said, yeah, it's the size of a credit card. And I was like, do you have one of the devices here? He's like, no. Um, but I
Yeah.
was like, I kept joking around with him because he said, I said, could you right now access the underground, the tunnels if you wanted? And he said, yeah, I still have access. And I was like, you want to go for a ride? And he laughed. He doesn't he doesn't drive anywhere. He thinks like it's the most inconvenient way to travel, he said.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Yeah. I and I asked him, I said, what, like, have you teleported from your home to go places? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, like, give me an example. He's like, if I don't want to spend $4,000 to go to Australia and I need to go to Australia, I'll just go from my bedroom. And
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah, and and I was like, could you teleport from this chair to that chair? And he said, yeah, absolutely. But he goes, it doesn't, he couldn't like stress enough that it doesn't work if you're trying to show off. Like you have to have a genuine, like he said, if it's like to train someone or assist somebody in understanding, then you can do it. But there's like these weird guidelines about it. Um, and this is, considering that he's just not blowing smoke up my ass, but which I don't believe he was,
No.
because like I
Yeah.
just I just knew he wasn't. You can feel it. He's a very,
Right.
very tuned in and very tuned
Right. I
in.
mean, you literally experienced the technology in his house before he told you about it.
Well,
That's a proof right
he did
there.
some amazing energy work on me.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, he was like, your hip pain is tied to a belief system that you have probably about
Mm.
yourself. And I was like, well, I'm pretty open-minded. And he goes, it could be any sort of belief system, but he goes, what I'm getting is that you're ignoring who you are, meaning like you're an ET. He told me I was an ET also. He's like, you're an ET and you need to remember that. And as long as you keep ignoring that, that pain that
Mm.
energy is hiding in your hips. And when he told me that, my left hip started radiating, throbbing with pain. And like it
Really?
was insane. And he said, yeah, your body's talking to you right now. That's because you need to remember who you are. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
never gonna get rid of this pain. And then I was like,
Like a
I was
star
like,
seed. You mean like an ET incarnated in the human, like a
yeah,
star seed.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need it. Like, I need to acknowledge that. Like, he's like, you're not,
Yeah.
he goes, what happens to humans and what happens to you, and this is why you're in pain, is you've gone you've been programmed so far into being a human that it's become detrimental to your physical body. And
Mm.
it's like you need to remember your ET, like your starseed lineage, and start acknowledging it and recognizing it and integrating it. And when he
Yeah.
was telling me that, my hip was radiating. It was like it was literally hurting. I was like, dude, my hip is throbbing with pain right now. And he opens this book that had all these equations and all this shit and all these different colors and stuff, and he had a color wheel, and he goes, put your hand over the red and the scarlet color, put your left palm over it, and he goes, that will take the pain away. And I did, and the pain stopped almost instantly. He said
Really?
the color red and scarlet together is associated with pain. He's like, every time that you're in pain, if you can find these colors and put your left hand on it, the pain will alleviate. It'll alleviate the pain.
Wow.
And
Well, colors have frequency, as we know, so that
yeah,
makes sense.
exactly. And that's what the
Yeah.
whole book was about. It was like he
Hmm.
said you can literally play the color red on a guitar. And I was like, yeah,
Right.
I know that. And
There's
but he
the sound, there's a frequency of
yeah.
sound that
So
correlates to
so
the
he
vision.
said he goes back and he goes, now that being the case, if you know the frequency for the color red, that's a healing, and you play that on a guitar, you can write a song that can heal people if it's
Oh
tuned
yeah.
right, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just like it was just amazing. I don't know. There's so many things.
I want to talk to this guy now.
Right.
Like next time I'm in Sedona, I want to try to meet up with this guy.
Um,
Um,
Tyler, what is the biggest lie? Oh, wait, let's go back up. I missed. the f- Honestly, do you
you think we'll
think
have open?
we will have open contact in our generation, face to face with non-human looking ETs? Just asking. Thanks.
I think it depends on how old you are. I think Tyler, I think you and I will for sure, personally. If you're over 60, maybe. If you're under 60, I would say yes, definitely. That's my personal feeling.
Sorry, guys, if you didn't make the cut.
Sorry if you didn't make the cut. That's that's just my feeling.
Right.
I think anyone under 60, yes, for sure. Unless, I mean, we could all die tomorrow, right? Or something like you don't
Yeah.
know when you're going to be leaving. Assuming you live to around 80, 85-ish, if you're under 60, I would say absolutely 100% yes. Because I think it's going to happen the next 20 years for sure, within the next 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that it's already happening with
It's
certain
already happening. Right.
individuals. And this is
Right.
another thing he told me. He said there are more ETs walking around Sedona than you can imagine. He goes, they're
Oh, I
here.
believe it.
And he's like, they're literally walking around town and you pass them.
Many other
Yeah.
places than Sedona too
Yeah.
as
Mount
well. They
Shasta.
look
Yeah.
exactly like us. You would
Yeah.
never know unless you
Yeah.
you get these,
Yeah.
senses, or you can.
But yeah, he definitely was just like, yeah, they're ETs. They're here walking around Sedona. Like they're just on the streets. They're,
Right.
uh,
I mean, Jerry
yeah,
Wills
right.
is
Exactly.
he was probably
It's
was
a
a baby.
perfect example.
Right.
Um, Next question. Tyler, what is the biggest lie that has broken off you, a belief you thought was truth? Um, Man, that's a good one. I don't know if I like I was it's never things that have broken off, but it's me expanding on what I thought was already possible. I would think like I had like a very 3D image, a 3D belief on space, like very much of like it was Star Trek, like you had to like the distance was real, like everything about space that we were taught, I believed in. And the more I learn about it is like it's all frequency and it's like talking to this guy, you can just be on a planet in an instant. And like I'm just like coming to these new understandings of space. And oh, that's another thing he said. He goes, space is an ocean. He goes, it's a plasma ocean with beings literally swimming around in the ocean. He goes, it's not water, but it's plasma and it acts like water. And there's jellyfish out there, there's whale. He goes, there's everything you can imagine, just like our ocean. He goes, it is teeming with life. And he said he goes, that's why submarines work in space and all that stuff. It's not
Mhm.
what we think. It's not just like this empty
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Plasma, though, it's not like water, like we think of water, but it's like you could say it's water-like, I guess, like a plasma, though, because
Yeah, yeah.
plasma is the fourth state of matter that they don't tell us about. They don't teach us
Right,
about. They teach us about solid, liquid, gas, but plasma is actually the fourth state, and that's what I think
right.
space is filled with.
But he said
Right.
it acts very much like water. Like if you're trying to like spacewalk, you would like it's like you're moving through water. There's a resistance.
Yeah, I
It's
believe it. I
yeah.
believe it. Yeah.
And what was interesting too, and what correlated with that was Yemi Janae or Janae, whatever her name is, the remote viewer from Farsight. She was talking
Jimmy.
about whenever she remote views space, she said she'll know she's in space or underwater because she puts her hands out and she feels in it. If she's in space or water, like she feels a resistance, like she's swimming and that's how she'll know. And then he told me that like the next day. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So
There you go.
like, but he said it could be like considered a form of water, but not water as we understand water.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, but he goes, it is an ocean. Um,
Right. Right.
so that is something,
Because what if flat earthers always, not to
right,
harp on the flat earth thing, but oh, it's like a spinning ball in nothing. It's like, well, it's not in nothing. It's in that. It's in a substance that it's just different than, what we're taught space is, but it is a
right,
substance. Yeah.
right, exactly. Um, where did I send you? Sorry, I'm doing something real quick. But yeah, so there's so many things. And like another belief, honestly, well, before my mother passed away, I was very much of an atheist and I believed in science and evolution and there was no God. Like I was like that was me. And that belief system was shattered with my awakening. And it didn't take long for me to remember all that was, real. But that was a big one for me that I had to come to terms with, but I realized I was more or less avoiding it and running from it than not believing
Mhm.
in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
um,
Nikki Anna Jones just said, Aether is an ocean. Yes. There you go.
the ether, yeah.
He's in the chat. Hey,
Right. Hey,
Nikki.
Nikki, what's up?
What's up? Nikki's going to
Uh,
be speaking at our conference
yeah,
next
Nikki
year.
will be speaking at our conference. Nikki Anna Jones, go check out her YouTube channel, Nikki Anna
Yes.
Jones. Go check out her Instagram, Nikki Anna Jones. Go check out her Twitter, Nikki Anna Jones.
Nikki Anna Jones.
Um, yeah, no, we're excited to have her, and she has some amazing information. And
Mhm.
she was like, "Oh, I'm going to talk about this," and I was like, "You're not going to talk about like all the dragons and fairies and unicorns?" She goes, "You want me to?" I'm like, "Yeah, like this is your
Yes.
opportunity to go as woo as
Go as
possible."
woo as possible.
Yeah.
That's what we're about.
Hey,
Go full
y'all.
woo.
Um,
Hey, y'all.
that's why astronauts train in water tanks. Yeah. Um,
Leyland is asking, how are you feeling after the recent incident? Are you feeling better and hopefully healing from any after effects? She's talking about the
yeah. Um,
conference scare
I'm
that you had.
feeling like a brand new person, and I've come online in a way. I I was talking to a friend the other day and I started like hearing something, a message while he was asking me a question. I'm like, dude, this sounds weird. Like I've never done this before, but this is coming through right now. So I'm just going to tell you what I'm hearing. And that never has happened to me before. And
Nice.
I don't know where it was coming from, my higher self or however that works. Um, but that happened after that. And like seeing that guy's aura and just different things about like things look different. I'm like getting used to this new body or something. It's really weird.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
Nikki said, what if megaliths are bleed overs from other dimensions? That's very possible.
oh yeah.
It's very
Well,
possible.
I think it was Katie. Katie in a chorus was something that she channeled one time that like sometimes the megalith, the structure we see here is just a foundation for something much bigger in another
In
dimension.
another dimension,
Yeah.
right?
And they said that they build in multiple dimensions so that structure can act as a portal itself to
Hmm.
access the other frequencies in the
Hmm.
structure itself, like a pyramid, essentially.
Right,
It's basically they're bigger in other realities, in other dimensions.
right.
I would
That,
agree with that.
that totally makes sense. I agree with that. Yeah.
Um, Question. Any way or tips to recognize SSP testimonies, a screen memory versus real memory? Asking because so many YouTubers are getting confusing. Um, yeah, so definitely it is a very real thing to get screen memories or even believe you were involved and you weren't involved. Um, I can't speak for anybody. You have to put yourself on a healing path, a healing journey, and get to know yourself. And if you have memories, you need to either go through a regression or whatever modality you need to use to break through and penetrate to see if that's a screen memory and
Yeah.
see if there's something deeper there. It I don't know how I don't know actually. I can't
There are many
answer.
ways to do
Yeah.
that to tell if it's a screen memory. And screen memories are not as solid as I think a lot of people seem to think they are. There's usually tells even right off the bat that it's a screen memory. And if you study up on that and you can absolutely figure out it's a screen memory, one, and then two, recover the memory that the screen memory is trying to cover over.
Well, it's like a
There's ways to
recurring
do that.
dream. Like a recurring
Right.
dream, if you have it over and over, and like this same thing happens to me all the time, that's most likely a screen memory. Like they're just
Right.
like give you that memory to cover
Right.
up whatever's actually happening.
A lot of people report, a lot of like UFO abductees and stuff report having the same recurring dream over and over again, and they end up finding out that's their screen memory from their abduction. That was like a traumatic thing, and it's usually like it'll be like an animal or a clown or a, something other than the ET that it's like screened over. And but a lot of times the other details will be the same, but they'll
Right.
cover over like some of the main uh
Right.
key details, like the beings or certain things
Um,
like that with something else.
what's something that stands out to me is Gary McKinnon, the guy who hacked the NASA
Yeah.
servers, and we
Hmm.
found this out through a friend of ours. I won't even use her name, but she's friends with Gary, and she was talking to him about the secret space program and stuff, and he specifically doesn't affiliate with that community because he said a lot of it is just mental health issues. He goes, it's real, the secret space program is real, but a lot of it is mental health, and
Unfortunately, there is
unfortunately,
a big issue there. Yeah.
and people are believing in some absolutely crazy stuff that I just sometimes I just don't feel it's true sometimes. I'm like, I
Yeah.
understand, like, you think you're tapping into these altars and these memories and maybe it's real, and I'm not going to tell you it's not real, but my immediate reaction is just if I just don't know, if it's not resonating, I don't want to push any further, you know.
Right, right.
And
I think it's a lot of it, unfortunately, is mental health issues. And then it's like you can tell, at least I can tell, it's like it's the wild imaginations of those people with mental health issues that just runs wild. And then they just are grabbing from that and being like, this is what happened to me, or this is this and that. And it's
right,
just so obviously like not based in
right.
any kind of reality.
It's
That being said, there is a lot of truth as well, and you have to learn how to discern the true stuff
yeah,
from that. And there is a lot of truth. Obviously, we're doing a whole documentary
right.
on this subject. We know it's real,
Right.
obviously.
No, it's very real, and I'm not trying to discredit anyone because I think
No,
everyone's doing their best to try and remember, and sometimes it's amazing information, but I don't know where it fits into anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm
right,
like this isn't even, we're like so far beyond disclosure now. Like some of this
right,
stuff, like if somebody's on the outside looking in, it's like a comic book, you know?
right,
Like
right,
literally like what Corey Good turned it into, a comic book and a video game. And that's
right.
intentional because when people research it now, like Corey
Mhm.
Good's making a video game called 20 and Back. Well, if you research 20 and Back now, if you're new to this, you're gonna get a video game.
All you're gonna
Or
get is
you're
a
go-
video game.
or you're gonna get his comic book, which is a children's comic book. And that's why I don't like, I love the AI art, guys,
And
and
that
anyone.
does and that does two things, not to cut you off,
Yeah,
but like it discredits the information because now people are going, oh look, it's it can't take it seriously when it's turned into a video game and a comic book and whatever. Like two, it buries the real information, like you said. So now if you're trying to search it online, you're gonna have to wade through all that first before you can get to any real good information. It's
right.
burying it.
Yeah, it buries it. Yeah. And that's why I just like, we have to be careful about what this actually looks like from the outside looking in if we want to be
Hey,
taken seriously.
yeah, hey
Um,
Lily, you
Hi,
joined
how's it
us.
going? Yeah,
so,
I was like, okay, I'll come in.
Yeah, like all right.
okay,
Yeah.
Lily, we're going to throw a question at you right away. What's
Okay,
a
what?
step we can take in order to remember who we are?
Oh, that's a great question. That's exactly what my star family's training me on.
You don't even
Um,
look like you were just laying on the couch. You look like you're like all perfectly, like all piled up.
no,
Uh,
no, 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 no. Yeah, I've been resting today. Sedona was crazy. I just got back from 2.5 weeks of Sedona energies. So I'm like, and I
Nice.
just got back in late last night. So yeah, I'm kind of like resting today. Getting acclimated to St. Louis energy, which is like, whoa, St. Louis energy is weird coming from Sedona. But
Yeah.
anyways, how to remember. So mantras are really great. Things that I used to do is I would literally, you have to kind of like reprogram your subconscious, your conscious, and your cells really, because all that information is within your DNA. It's within your cells of your
Mhm.
body. So what they taught me to do was just talk to yourselves. And I would say, I am remembering who I truly am. And it may sound kind of cliche, but the affirmations and mantras, like I would write it on post-it notes. And I would just repeat those every day and then meditate on it too, of course. But you'd be surprised what comes up from doing that. And DNA activations, literally, because it's all in your DNA. So that's kind
Right.
of like a short answer, but that's
Right.
been incredibly profound. You'll start having memories that will come up, new gifts will start coming online. Just amazing things will happen whenever you focus on your DNA.
Right. And
Yeah.
you can like I think it's important to turn off your autopilot, meaning that we all have programmed responses to every situation and every conversation. And I notice if I go to a restaurant or whatever, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then the server will be like, "Oh, another day in paradise." Or or if it's Monday, they'll be like, "Oh, it's Monday." Or if it's Friday, they'll be like, "How's it going?" "Oh, it's Friday." Like it's a programmed response. So you
Hmm.
like if you can start to recognize the program responses in other people and then recognize the program responses that you yourself have, and then you deprogram that, like you stop responding in that way and you step out of that, it's all like this fake identity in a way, and you start to dismantle that. Like little subtle things like that too will slowly get you to where you need to go, I think. um
Yeah.
like stop, like literally stop yourself from just saying, "Oh, another day in paradise." That's a literal MK Ultra program. Like we're
Oh
programmed to
yeah.
say that. So you have to like break that programming to even begin with, and then all the stuff you said. But I think there's layers to it.
Right. And I want to add, because some people are very impatient, and I totally get it. We're probably used to up there things manifesting like instantly, but down here we have to like sometimes we have to like work at things. It's a process. I'm
Yeah.
still learning more about myself every single day. There's so
Yeah.
many different past lives or parallel lifetimes, and if you're in the programs, that's like a whole other layer. And how many programs you're in, there's so many different layers to it. So it's a process. So I don't want people to feel bad because they don't know everything. They don't know how many lifetimes they've had on Earth, or detailed things. I think if you focus on it and you put your intention there and do your healing work, as it is time for you to know, you will begin to remember those things, and they'll probably come in bits and pieces.
um okay,
Yeah.
next question. Lily, any thoughts on how America will shift after November 5th?
um
Everyone wants to know.
Well, I haven't even like paid attention to, well, not, I won't, being in Sedona for the last 2.5 weeks, that was the main point of me going there, was to work with the grid and clear a lot of dark things and focus on anchoring in the highest timeline. So I feel whatever happens, and I have a video that we did together that shares a bunch of, I don't know if you'd call them like predictions or whatever, things that will happen, or of the highest timeline things, a lot of disclosures like the JFK files. I've been hearing in my mind like the Epstein list, that coming out, stuff like that. But that goes into detail with it. But since this last week, I feel a really big shift. And since my retreat in Sedona, and everybody else working hard, Aaron, you guys were doing grid work in Peru. I really
Yep.
feel like there's been a huge shift, and whatever does happen, I think it is for the highest best for humanity. It might get messy for a minute. Um, Earlier, I was kind of tuning into it for a second, and I just got the message like lessons are going to be learned, and it's going to be good. So even if it looks like kind of freaky at first, I think ultimately we are in our highest timeline now,
Right.
my
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, I
100%
very much
agree.
felt the whole time like Aaron and that whole group was going to Sedona, or not Sedona, Peru for grid work. Like
Hmm.
I mean, I said it a million times, but I really felt like you were there. I was in Sedona. Like we were like doing
Same
stuff.
time
Yeah, yeah,
doing grid work in two different places. Right.
yeah. I
You guys.
definitely believe that.
Yeah, I had
Um,
a weird experience. Maybe I can share that just really quick. But
Yeah.
during my retreat, we went to Cathedral Rock, and we all did
Mhm.
it like an activation. I think we were like holding hands, and or no, wait, this was at Bell Rock. And during that, I had an experience where, and I caught this really big golden orb on camera. I posted the footage on Facebook and whatever. And if you zoom in,
yeah,
it looks like you can see people in it. It's a really
Nice.
incredible and really cool footage. But during that experience, I had like a vision or experience where the people from in the retreat, we were on this ship that looked, it was like kind of like not a circle boat. you know, an oval shape, and it was like a metallic, but it was like this time travel ship. This might sound kind of out there, but it was us, and we were visiting us, like time traveling to us. I think it was like from another timeline or something. I don't know. Something shifted during that, and it felt like good. It could have been us visiting or planning to be there in that moment to help shift something.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
don't know. I thought that was cool.
Is is
that is cool.
the orb you're talking about the one that everybody thought, not everybody, the people thought was the lens flare until you shared the
It wasn't a
video?
lens. It wasn't a
Yeah.
lens
Yeah,
flare. I
yeah.
saw the video.
Yeah, because I just shared like a picture of it, a screenshot of it, and a few people said it was a lens flare, but the
I,
video, it's obviously not a lens
yeah, I
flare.
mean in the photo it could very much be written off as a lens flare, but when you play that video of it coming in and circling and leaving,
Yeah.
like that's obviously something. Yeah.
And I saw somebody in the comments, like you had the video playing in like slow motion so you could see the movement. And somebody was trying to say because all the people were still that you just used a still photo and then like
Like
I was
you
like, no, they
literally
were
hoaxed it.
meditating for one. Yeah, like that's why they were still. And it was
Yeah.
slow motion on top of that.
Do you know who I am? Like that's how I got into
And
this,
you can still
capturing
see slight
footage.
movement in the people even with that. Like you can
Right.
even so that it made
Yeah.
no sense. But somebody was trying to like debunk it. I saw, yeah, right.
Right.
I was like, man,
Keyboard
people will come up with
warriors.
anything to debunk something, you know?
Yeah, it's okay. I know.
Question, do you think Aziz will be a presenter at the conference? I don't know about that, but we will be interviewing him soon. He's my new homie. We just like hit it off and he's amazing. We really got along and I plan on definitely doing more with him.
Mhm. Yeah, they were
Um,
great.
He
That was
seemed
a
really cool.
yeah.
Question, Mandela effect or Mandela effect? Please share what it means. Um, so actually, I had a Mandela effect happen to me last night in the middle of the night with a Metallica song when I couldn't sleep. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
you
going to
just
tell
told
the
me
whole
about that.
story, it's too long, but there's a Metallica song called All Nightmare Long that one of the guitar riffs that I remember has absolutely changed. And like, I'm 100% certain of it. And it was just a real time epiphany for me. I'm like, oh shit, this is different, you know? And I'm like, damn it, because I love that guitar riff and now I don't get to listen to it anymore because it's in a different timeline.
Wow.
Um,
Well, maybe now you can create it and you
I
can
did. I literally wrote it. I figured it out by memory and I recorded it today so I wouldn't forget it.
Really.
I played it. Yeah.
you should play
Um,
it for us.
I-
You're gonna have to find Kirk Hammett and teach him the riff and then have
yeah.
them record the
Right. Yeah.
re-record the entire album
Right.
with that riff.
I was like watching, I'm like, it's got to be in a live performance or something, but it's like, no, I'm like, even they don't even know what it was. Uh,
Damn.
They don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
I believe the
Different
Mandela
version.
effects come from actual time travel. I think manipulation. And I
Yeah.
learned, I believe that from reading the Sands of Times books. And they talk about every time that somebody makes a jump, it creates a ripple in time. And actually, they don't even know how it affects the timeline. They just know it does. And it's not until later on down the road that they realize something changed. So they don't even know what's going to change whenever they're time traveling or whenever, you know, whatever's happening. And they
Hmm.
said the only way to figure it out is to go back in time where the waves started, is what they say. So ultimately, every time they're doing these jumps and these experiments with the Philadelphia experiment or the Nazi belt, whatever, it literally alters the timeline. And they don't understand like the implications of like can be detrimental
You don't understand what they're
to,
doing, really.
yeah, they don't know what they're doing. That's why in the books they describe that that technology has been made illegal, like in other places in the galaxy. So here, there's so many different time travelers and so many groups. That's what we don't understand. We are a time traveling civilization, and so many jumps are being made. And like Andrew Bashago, all the experiments, every time they're making jumps and testing the technology, it's altering the timeline over and over. I mean, it's literally been countless times, and that's been going on for decades. And they're still doing it, and it's just so far gone past the, past the point of no return. So,
Hmm.
um, we're just like left with this mess. And now my favorite Metallica riff is different, and here we are.
Right.
I
Um,
mentioned this on my live on Sunday, the Sedona live activation, but the heart is now in the center of the chest, and
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, and the kidneys are up. I looked up pictures and the kidneys are up like right below like your chest, like up in your ribs, as
Right.
opposed to in the
Human
back.
anatomy has even changed. Right. Right.
Um,
There's so many. I mean, there's so many. It's nuts.
right.
And there's some
So
that I'm 100% certain of. Uh,
Mhm.
like even the more
yeah.
popular ones, like obviously the Berenstain, because one okay, so some of the best proofs of those types of Mandela effects is either your own or other people's thoughts about the word or about the thing that would make no sense whatsoever if the thing has always been the way it is now. So what I mean by that is like Berenstain Bears, right? Well, it used to be Berenstein. It used to be spelled Stein, which can be pronounced Steen or Stein, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of people remember having conversations even with other people about, is it pronounced Steen or Stein? Steen or
Right.
Stein? Well, if it's always been Stain, you would never even have that thought, let alone have that conversation with somebody, right?
Yeah.
So boom, right there. That's those types of things are some of the best proofs where people try to write off as, oh, people's just bad memories and they're just remembering, all these people are just remembering it wrong. No. Maybe
Well,
some of them that's it, but there you can't discount all of
right.
them and I mean your Metallica riff proof. Why would you even have the thought of a different riff
Well,
that's your one of your favorite riffs if it
and
wasn't ever there?
remember it. And
You
I
know?
sent it to a friend of mine, and he was like, "Yeah, you're right." Like he even agreed.
He even
But
remembered.
but
Right.
then this came out in like 2009. That song back whenever I was still drinking and partying, and I remember literally driving with my friend, and we were like going to a bar, and we were listening to that song, and we both thought that riff was awesome to the point where we rewound it and would like re-listen to that part. And you know how we do with songs.
Hmm.
And we had a whole conversation about, he's like, dude, that riff's badass. I'm like, yeah, I know. And like, I remember vividly that conversation. So when I heard it
Right.
last night and it was different, it was just, it wasn't the same at all. It was like very bland and lame compared to what it was. And I'm like, I remember the conversation. Like, why would I remember
There you
having that
go. Why
conversation?
would you wouldn't even have that conversation in the first
Yeah.
place if it's
Yeah,
always
exactly.
been this way, right? So it's the same type of thing.
Um,
Right.
so
So timelines are some people say it's because the timelines are merging.
Mm.
Uh, that makes sense as well. Maybe like all these extra timelines have been like artificially created from maybe
oh,
stuff like that, like the time travel and CERN and all this kind of stuff.
yep,
And then
CERN,
they're merging
everything.
back together and creating these Mandela effects.
That too. Like it's just alters, like alterations in the timeline is what it
Hmm.
is. It doesn't
Right.
matter how it happened. It's just CERN, everything, all these technologies that we've reverse engineered, but we don't actually understand and we just start using them haphazardly. Like even in
Hmm.
Stargate, like they don't understand the Stargate, but they know that it works and they use it. And
Right.
so they don't even understand how it technically works. They just know that it works. Um,
Right.
but you don't understand how it's affecting time and space when you're using it, and if it's like creating damage or not. So
Right.
there's a movie that I shared. I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch the time capsule movie, Aaron?
No, no, not yet. I need to.
Okay, let me see if I can find that. Hang on. I'm just gonna go to,
I just turned on Stargate since you guys were talking about it.
Nice.
what do you mean just now? Okay, so I saw
SG1?
this I
SG1, yeah.
saw
The
this
best.
movie. I was scrolling through Amazon Prime and I saw this movie called The Time Capsule. I'm like, anything with time, I want to see what it's about.
Right.
And the movie plot says, in the near future, a jaded politician, fresh off the electoral loss, escapes with his controlling wife to the Southern Lake house where he spent summers as a teen. Their vacation is disrupted by the appearance of his first love, who has just returned from a 20-year space voyage and hasn't aged a day. What 20 years? Why did they choose 20 years? And
Right.
return from a 20-year space voyage and hasn't aged a day. I mean, that's like they're
20 and back.
20 and back. But in the
Yeah.
movie, she actually misses, like actually goes through instead of coming back to the point she was taken, they come back 20 years later, but they
Mhm.
still haven't aged a day. Like she's still like she was still 18 when she came back, but she came back
Yeah.
20 years later.
I've
So,
noticed the 20-year thing comes up a
right,
lot in anything time travel, and I've heard insiders say that's because there's something about time where there's like these 20-year intervals where it makes it way easier to travel in 20-year intervals for some reason.
Mhm.
right.
And then you
Um,
have the thing like the Nazi Bell, which supposedly was the Kecksburg UFO.
right.
Uh, that was 20 years in the future is where it
Yep.
traveled
And
naturally.
they
They
didn't
didn't
know
even
it
try
was
to do that.
gonna, they didn't try to do it.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
It just,
there's something with this 20-year interval with time
right.
travel.
I
There's something to that.
absolutely. And it's like some sort of universal law that they have to abide by or that they just can't, they don't
Hmm.
understand, but they know it's 20 years.
Right.
Um, so I guess Lily, while we have you here, the your Sedona retreat, and do you want to talk about anything that you're getting ready to do or anything, how the retreat was, anything?
I'm still processing everything.
Yeah.
I've got some interesting videos coming out that I'm going to be working on. We went to Bradshaw Ranch, which is a paranormal. I didn't know anything about that
Nice.
before, but
Oh,
we went
really?
with, yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
went with,
Oh,
yeah,
that
with
that place
Arcturus
is,
Raw.
yeah.
And he took us there, him and his girlfriend. So that was fun. So we got to hang out there for a bit. And I kind of did like a vlogging style video and kind of recorded what I was experiencing, what I was feeling. I know nothing about Bradshaw Ranch. Like I just kind of walked in there blind. But yeah, it was pretty cool, pretty interesting place. Had some interesting experiences there. So I've got some videos on that coming out. The med bed or Arcturus Raw cell well. I had some really interesting experiences using that twice. I'll be sharing some content on that on my YouTube channel soon. And besides that, what else do I have?
Did he explain to you how
Uh,
the medbed technology worked?
he did something, and I'm gonna butcher it, so I don't even know if I should try. But it's like
Right.
honestly like charged photons and something. But really, it's like Arcturian and Atlantean, kind of a blend of Arcturian and Atlantean tech.
Right.
And
Nice.
yeah,
And
Amazing.
so, and just for the skeptics out there that are trying to say that it's just a tanning bed, yes, he repurposed the tanning bed
Mhm.
for to turn it into a med bed, but it's not like you
Which is
think,
why it looks like a tanning bed, but it's
right?
not just a tanning bed.
Like the level of
Right,
IQ to literally not understand that a tanning bed could be repurposed.
Repurposed.
Like,
Right.
and to think that you're literally just laying in a tanning bed claiming that
I mean,
that's
that's the
just
internet
funny.
for you. People see one
Right.
picture and then they write something off because they don't want to believe something or look into
right.
it.
Well, and we're this is like a grassroots movement. We're not all billionaires with a bunch of money to make all of this tech. We're making do with what we have,
Right.
and I think
Right.
gutting out a tanning bed is a perfect way to reuse that.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and
Like
yeah,
that's the
change it into
simplest
something
way to
different.
make a med bed is to take because it's already like you got the whole structure there. You
Right.
just got to put the stuff on the inside of it. Right.
Mhm,
Same reason they used submarines in space.
Right.
I
It's kind of the
mean,
same thing.
mhm.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but the
So
experiences in that and were pretty cool. I guess I'll just say this, and then I'm going to be posting a video where I go more into detail about it. But I was basically like in two places at once. I was like on
Really.
a ship. Yeah, whenever I close my eyes and you kind of go into like a meditation, you get the binaural beats and all of that. And I started immediately feeling like beings working on me. And then like I would like felt like I was in a ship and it startled me to where like I jumped up and then it brought me back down into like my body, which was
Your
really
right.
body. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll just
Yeah,
say
that
that. And then I was able to kind of like balance between being up on the ship and kind of seeing what was going on the ship, but also being in like physically in the cell well in their house. So that was
right,
interesting.
right.
That's amazing.
Um, so it's like that fear snaps you back. That's happened to
Yeah.
me in astral
Hmm.
projection before, even though I wasn't trying to astral project, but
A lot of people, a lot
when
of
I
people
find
report
myself
that.
doing it and then I realize like, oh shit, like I'm actually flying right now. Like you snap right back into your body. Like
Mhm.
you
Hmm.
as soon as you become scared or fear sets in at all, you're just back.
Yeah. It
Right.
just startled me. It just shot me
Right.
back. I was like, whoa. And I was
Yeah,
like, no,
yeah.
wait. I want to go
Yeah,
back.
or even just being startled, like that alone is enough to do it, right? Even with
Yeah.
astral projection, I hear a lot of people say that as well. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Question, Aaron,
Yeah.
what has your interest? What has your interest and focus now? And you can't say Amanda.
Amanda. Sorry, I had to. That's a pretty big open-ended question.
Right, right,
Because a lot of things.
right.
Uh,
Maybe
other
something
than
you're researching? Like, is there something in particular you're researching lately or reading about?
I mean, I'm always all over the place. I'm always just all over the place. There's nothing
Right.
really. Yeah, more often than not, I'm not like focused on one thing mainly. It's just kind of like
Somebody
everything.
said second book, maybe?
Yeah, well, I'm starting to think about starting to write the second book. So I'm like, it's
Right.
just so much work, you know. It's just like, oh man. And obviously I can, you know, it was more intense with the first book because I was doing a 6-week course. Lily, you did yours in the same course that I did, and you have that period of time to write your book. So you're in this like crunch time the whole 6-week period. Like I got to get this done, and it's really intense. Luckily, I don't have to. I'm not doing that this time around, so I have a lot more time, and I can be more relaxed with it, which is nice. But it's still a lot of work. But I'm starting to think about what I want to write and what I want to be in it and kind of how I want it to go. I've been thinking a lot about that. So yeah, my next book is kind of the
So,
thing I've been focused
and
on
by
right
the
now.
way, don't forget about his first book and Lily's book. They're both available on Amazon. The link
Mhm.
for Aaron's book is on our website and is in the description. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a researcher. I mean, you just compiled so much stuff in there. I reference it when I'm researching and putting stuff together. It's a great compilation of information, and it tells your story too, which is
Mhm.
brilliant. And um, like I said, the first three chapters of that book break the matrix. Like you just go straight for the jugular.
Thank you. Yeah, that was kind of my intent with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to start it off with a punch in the face, so to speak,
And
in
then,
that way. So I'm
yeah.
glad you think that. Thank you.
And then Lily, what about your book? If anybody who hasn't read it yet, where can they find it? Your website and all that stuff.
Yeah, my book is Contacts. You can find it on Amazon. So just search Contact by Lily Nova on Amazon. And
That
then my
was the
website,
worst show and tell ever. There.
Right.
You're
There we
like,
go.
you're
there's
like,
some nice art
hey,
in
here's
here
my book
too.
Because like here's
contact.
my book.
Um,
I've also got pictures and all kinds
you
of
have
cool
one with
stuff.
color pictures?
No, I wish like I should have done that. Now that it's published, I can't make it color.
Well,
So I keep,
you'd have to add a whole separate book to
yeah,
do it, which you can do, but it's a lot of extra work. Because then I don't
exactly.
know, like you know how hard it was going page by page and having to redo Kindle Create, and then
Yeah, I might make a
um,
hardcover that is in color. It's just going to be more
yeah,
expensive. That's going to be like a
it's more
$40, 50.
expensive, right?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't do color. Even I did a hardcover version for mine, but I still did black and white because like to
Mm-mm.
print color, it was so much more expensive. I would have to
Right.
make any kind of money, I would have had to make the book so expensive that I just
Right.
didn't feel right.
Right.
It just
But I will say the ebook though, the ebook is in color. So for mine, like so all the pictures and art is in color on the
I
ebook.
think mine is too. I think that's how the ebooks work because they don't have to print it.
Mhm.
It's just like
Yeah.
the pictures are the pictures in color. Yeah. So my ebook is in
Right.
color technically too. But
Leyland
yeah, everyone
said,
get Lily's book. It's amazing. She goes through her whole story and information. It's phenomenal. I highly can't recommend it enough.
and everyone get Aaron's book. It's amazing. He goes through
And
his
if you
whole
want to get my book,
story. Yeah.
I'll let
Um,
Tyler tell you that because I hate promoting myself.
so somebody said, Leyland said, do you guys have any plans to produce another documentary in the future? Cahokia Mounds was beautifully done. Yes, we are working on another one. The reality of the situation is travel, time, and money, and we want to do it right. We don't want to just phone it in. So we are
Mhm.
working on it actively. It's just we have to literally
Yeah.
book plane tickets and go on trips and get certain interviews and if we want to do what we're envisioning, and it's been in the process for like maybe 2 years now, but
Year and a half at least. Yeah. No. Yeah.
and we're getting close, but there's just a couple last interviews that we want to get in some last just some footage and stuff. And honestly, it's just like Cahokia. The longer we wait, the more stuff is like coming to the surface that I'm like, oh, now like I see why the timing of it. I'm getting
Hmm.
more of a complete vision for it, but it is going to be on the secret space program, but it's going to be on um, the Earth-based side of how these people are being recruited into the programs and the underground bases and what's like how that whole process takes place. The whole purpose is to reach the skeptics. This is going to
Mhm.
go on Amazon Prime, and it's going to be something that anybody can watch that doesn't know anything about this. And I want them to walk away scratching their head, going, like there might actually be something to this. We're not going to like we're not going to have, a 20 and back whistleblower talking about Jupiter and Aries Prime and, all this stuff out in space. People like, you got to get people off the ground first. And
First.
yeah,
Right.
so, and we're getting the most credible people that we believe have the best testimonies and evidence to support it.
Hmm.
And we're doing boots on the ground investigations and going to certain locations in some cases. And it's an ambitious project, but I can't wait to like I'm getting ideas
I'm
and
excited
stuff.
about it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be good, but it's just gonna
Yeah.
take a little more time.
Yeah.
And
A lot more time and money and
yeah,
energy on on this
yeah.
one because we're
And there's a
yeah,
lot of information coming forward to even potentially do a follow-up to Cahokia Mounds one day.
that would be
Um,
cool too. Yeah.
yeah. And it, I can't wait. I can't wait to
Oh,
really like I'm in the middle of trying to sell my house right now and write a book and all this stuff. So like and to do a documentary at the same time, it just kind of has to be
it's a
on
lot.
hold.
You're right.
But once I literally can't wait to get to a point soon where I can just like, all right, we're doing the documentary. Like I'm super excited about that.
By the way,
Me
I don't
too.
know if any of you guys got a chance to listen to Graham Hancock's interview on Joe Rogan recently. He brought up Cahokia during
Yeah,
the interview, which I thought was cool. He's
he,
been there before. I know for a
yeah,
fact he's been there in the past,
yep.
but he tried. So his new season of Ancient Apocalypse is on the Americas, so it's on North and South America specifically.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go to Cahokia. He said he wanted to go there to film for this new season, but they blocked him. They have him censored from there. They won't let him go there.
Of
Just like Serpent
course.
Mound, he's blocked from too.
Yeah.
Like they won't let him go to a lot of these places because they think he's a pseudo archaeologist and spreading misinformation and all this kind of nonsense.
Well, I want to know why they're even trying to get permission. Like he could just show up to Cahokia Mounds and start filming. Like I know that
I
place.
think
Like
because he has his whole crew, like if you
right,
show up with this massive crew, they're gonna like take
right,
notice and be like, "What are you doing?" And they know him, and they're gonna. So I think he
right.
like asks permission when he goes to these types of places, and um, season one of I think it was season one of Ancient Apocalypse, he actually does go to Serpent Mound in Ohio, and it shows him going there, and like people telling him to leave
Yeah, right.
because they don't want him, they won't let him
Yeah,
film there.
yeah.
It actually shows it like they got that on film. So the same thing probably would have happened if he would have went to okay
Um,
even without doing that.
so somebody said, Rebecca says, Lily, what do you think their election results will be? That's a bold,
That's a big question.
you dare to answer that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say you can go back to that video that we posted before about like a month and a half ago, and I think that I would think that still stands. Um, if it goes the other way, I think it's still part of whatever's going to happen. I feel it in my heart that it's the highest timeline.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
that's what I think. So there may be some more tricks up the sleeve, and I feel like there's some things that I'm not even trying to really tune into it because I just trust that it's all working out, and some things maybe we need to be surprised about. So we'll see. That's
yeah.
just my opinion. But I
I,
would go check out that video also. It's
it's
on your channel and on my channel.
it is um I forgot what episode
Messages
number.
from the Federation.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out what actual episode number it is though. It is episode 321. Lily Nova messages from the Federation. What's coming?
I think
So,
that still
Yeah, so
stands, or
everyone
at
go
least a
watch
lot
that
of it.
episode, and that'll answer a lot of your
right.
questions.
Um, so
Somebody asked about the whole Bashar prediction thing,
So
which
here's
we've
what
already
like
talked about.
I've listened to Bashar a number of times and there's brilliant information that's come through him. Like in the like
95%
yeah,
at least of it is
right.
amazing, on point.
I don't agree what he said about having people get the jab, and I
That
don't
is not
agree
one of them.
and I don't agree about the political statement he
And that
recently
is also
made,
not one.
which
Yeah,
makes me question if he's tapping into something that isn't necessarily of the light or has an agenda. And
right.
we have to
Or both.
recognize and understand that any channelers right now are at risk of being compromised or infiltrated because this is a war, a spiritual war, and there is no lengths they won't go to. There is no line they won't cross. And if that means working through people to relay a message to humanity to manipulate a timeline, that's what they're going to do. And just take what resonates and leave the rest. That's all I can
Right.
say.
And
Yeah.
I want to add something to that. What I found interesting, so that statement that Bashar said was that if the female wins, then there will be open contact, and then something else. I can't remember the other thing. And then if the male wins, then there will be war. And it sounded like
And the
scary.
destruction of the United States. Yeah.
Okay. So that sounds scary, but even if it was like if you twist that and maybe that's a negative infiltration, somebody speaking through him. Um what he said could still be true. Open contact, if the female wins, open contact with who? Negative ETs?
Right.
Open contact with who? And then
Right.
war, what war if the male wins? War between good and evil, which is literally
Right.
playing all around us, is kind of what I take it as.
Right.
So like there was still like there was truth in it, but it was like twisted in my opinion.
And you could say it's like, yeah, the destruction of the United States, the corporation, not
Yeah.
the real United
Right.
States, like
Well,
the cabal's United States,
and
which is true.
there's no doubt in my mind, and I don't want to manifest this, but I will say it because I see it as a likelihood that if Trump wins, they will try to start World War III and blame it on him.
Mm.
Like I can see that
No, yeah,
happening. I can see
we'll
that
try it.
happening.
Yeah.
And there any destruction that happens is going to be blamed on him because it's under his watch, you know. Um,
Right.
Right.
Also,
Yeah.
somebody posted on Facebook randomly the other day. I don't remember who. They said they had this like same dream all night long that the entire like power grid went down on November 5th. And they like she said that every time she fell back asleep, it was like the same dream, like this like the grid was going down on November 5th. And I was thinking about it, I was like, you know, all they're already doing all the stuff with the voting already. We're seeing the ballots being burned, everything's not adding up, you know, there's all these, you know, just stuff isn't, you know, exactly what we would expect. They're trying to alter and rig the
Mm-hmm.
election, obviously. But there's, like I said, there's no length they won't go to. I wouldn't be surprised if they just like realize that they're losing and they're like, just turn off the world right now. Like, just shut the power down so they can't count the votes anymore. Um,
Right. Yeah,
Right.
and something I was getting, I think it was just earlier while I was driving, is like people need to learn whatever's about to happen is going to show people the real colors.
right,
Or it's going to keep happening until people see it, you know
right,
what I mean? But then there's also a lot of stuff
Yeah.
going on in the background. Like I've been having
There's a lot going.
um kind of like memories or information and messages of taking down like these like negative AI and satellites and things like that are like
Mm.
stimulating this veil, this 3D matrix and all of that. So there's a lot of that type of thing going on in the background as well that is helping to propel us, I believe.
Yeah. In
is
my opinion, if we knew how many beings, let's just say of the lights, are here helping and watching over us and the planet, we wouldn't be, if you would have
Right.
zero fear. And if you knew your own abilities, you knew who you really are as well, because
right,
we are way more powerful than we're led to believe. And that's their greatest fear, is that we're waking up to who we really are, and tapping into who we really are, and uniting and living from our heart and not in fear, because they need us to stay in fear and those lower frequencies to
right.
keep feeding off of us and manipulating us and controlling us and all the rest of it. well, the second we stop doing that, we can't be controlled anymore. We can't be fed off anymore. It's game over. Enough of us get to that level. It's game over. And that's what's
Right.
happening. So that's where we're moving towards no matter what. So no matter how scary it looks in the temporary short term, we're going in that direction and there's nothing they can do to stop that. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like,
And,
have common sense, do what you feel like you need to do to prepare, but don't be in fear,
right.
and know that that's where we're headed and that's where the
And
plan's going.
it's their desperation, shows their hand. And
Yeah.
they like when I was at the gym, and I only watch the news when I'm at the gym because that's the only time I ever see it on. And they had this was yesterday, and they had the election results, like the polls so far, and they had Trump and Kamala literally tied even. And I saw it and I was like reading the subtitles and I got sick to my stomach. And I was like, and I kept
Yeah.
hearing in my head 100% lie, 100% like, I was like, oh,
Mhm.
like it's not even like a mild fabrication. They are giving you a complete false version
Yeah.
of what's happening. Like a hundred
They need you
percent
to
of it
believe
is
that.
fake. A
Right.
100% of what they're saying is fake.
Oh yeah.
Like that, there's not even, it's not even a race. Like, it's not tied. You know
No.
what I'm saying? And
But
I'm
every real poll or every real thing has indicated
right,
Trump is like it's like landslide, landslide,
right.
landslide.
And like they got that Will Ferrell running around. Did you see the Will Ferrell video? Um,
I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't
it's
think so.
yeah, him and some other actor I didn't know, and it's called Loud White Men for Harris or something. And they're running around the city going, "Are you voting for Kamala? Are you voting for?" And like it's Will Ferrell, and they're like hyping, they're like hype men, and they're like running
Yeah.
around, and they're like live.
Almost every celebrity is like trying to,
Yeah.
yeah, is
Well,
pushing
the
that.
ones that are the ones that are controlled and the ones that know that if Trump wins that they're going to be going to jail, like they're the ones that
Right.
are supporting Harris,
They're all on the Diddy and Epstein
Right.
involvement lists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
wonder
I was just
why.
like, look what they're doing. They got celebrities running around the city, like trying to, like Will Ferrell, like trying to encourage
Yeah.
people to vote for Harris.
Oh yeah, and the Harris administration, like they're hiring all these people to go on social media, these teams of people to go on social media and try to manipulate and like manipulate perception and make it look like there's like all these Harris supporters and all they're doing all these, and then on top of all the fraud they're already doing, we're already seeing it,
Right.
to try to steal it and rig it, and I mean there's just everything you can possibly think of, anything, everything nefarious, cheat, fraud, uh, just horrible that you could possibly think of. They're doing it pretty much
Right.
to try, because that's who is running the show on that side, and they have zero regard for humanity or doing anything that's right. They don't care. They don't have morals. They don't have, they're just like it's kill or be killed with them, and they're trying to kill so that they're not killed.
This is
Essentially,
um
what's
this is
going on.
interesting. Even the XRP owner donated to Harris recently. There's
Not
been
the owner, it's one of the founders of the company Ripple. One of is apparently a super left-wing guy, and he's like donating to Harris. Chris
right.
Larson, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
But Brad Garlinghouse seems more. He actually seems more conservative, if anything, to me, especially with his comments after that came out. He was like, "No, that does not represent who we are," and he's like, "Everyone has the right to their own political opinions, blah blah blah." But like, he said a lot of things that make me think he's actually more for Trump. He's
Right.
actually he said like he thinks a Trump administration will be like very beneficial to crypto and to Ripple and
And
XRP and all these
I
things.
do want to say that honestly, like, yeah, like whatever, Trump or Harris, but this is so much bigger than all that.
Right. It's so
Like,
much
like,
bigger than all of that.
like Trump isn't going to come in and like save the world. That's just not going to happen. Like, there's a bigger mess here that's been like we're talking millions of years, right?
It's what
There,
Trump represents. It's what
yeah,
he's connected to. It's not about Trump.
but
That's what
even
people don't
still, like
understand.
even still beyond that, there's just like so many other levels above the political arena right
Right.
now
Right.
that are being addressed that need to be addressed. Like putting your
Right.
focus there, like we can talk about it, but even
Makes no
still,
sense.
I don't even think we should be totally focused on that.
No. No,
Yeah.
it's just one detail of a
Right.
vast array of things that are
Right.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's fulfilling a role, and it's a very public and a very what we've been sold our whole lives. We've been sold that the president of the United States is such a massive role and it's so important. Not really. Like it
Right.
is, but it isn't, right? It's important to a degree, but it's really not, because like you said, the real stuff is so far above and beyond the government even level, let alone the president,
Right.
that it's really just a placeholder kind of
Right.
role. But it's what, in my mind, that regardless of all that, it's what he represents. It's the role he's playing and what he's connected to, in my opinion. Call them the White Hats or the Alliance, whatever term you want to
Right.
call them. That's connected to these benevolent ET races that are here helping to
Yeah.
make sure humanity makes it through this ascension process and this
Well,
awakening process.
yeah.
Representing, to me, he represents the positive timeline and the awakening and the
Right.
ascension of humanity.
What
That's what he represents to me.
Daryl James said I like the best. He said, whatever he was told from Robert in 2004 or whatever. Um, he said uh, Trump wasn't there to do anything, but just stay out of the way of the military while they took care of things. Like, so
He's fulfilling a role. He's being a
yeah, yeah.
placeholder, but he's doing a
He's
really
in
good job
place. He's
of
in
it.
place to stay out of the way so the white hats can do what they want to do.
Right,
But
right.
unfortunately with the Democrat in place, they are literally standing in the way at every corner.
They
Like,
are, and
yeah,
they're actively destroying all the goods
right,
and the destroying humanity. They're
right,
working for that team. They're
right,
representing that,
exactly.
and they're, even though they themselves don't have that power, that's who they're working with, and they're like a little puppet that those forces are able to work through. So you
Right.
think of like Trump is like not. That's why he's being so viciously attacked for so many years, because he's that outsider that they need to get out of the way so they can like get in there and
Yeah,
fulfill all their agendas and
right.
do what they want
Yeah.
to do,
Yeah.
which is not going to happen because, sorry, we're not on that negative timeline. That's not the destiny of the planet nor the human race on this planet. It's not going to happen, in my opinion. But
Well, what time
you
is
know
it?
what?
So,
I don't know the details of what's going to happen, but all I know is we're not on that timeline. So even if Trump doesn't win at first, I don't think we're going to experience another normal 4 years of like
Mhm.
this
Something's gonna happen.
horrible, administration
no,
doing
like
this horrible thing. It's not
I
going to
mean,
happen.
there's some sort of catalyst on the horizon. I mean,
Right.
there's got to be. I don't know
There
what.
has to be. Right.
Um, but we've been going for quite a while now. Lily, is there anything you'd like to add or say or talk about before we start wrapping this up while we got you here?
No, I think I'm good. I'm getting a little sleepy.
Yeah, yeah, you've been traveling. I mean, it's been a long journey for you. So,
Yeah. Mhm.
what do you have coming next, Lily?
Um, what do I have coming next? Another Sedona retreat in April. That's full. The next thing I've got coming up is a mentorship program that starts in January, a 6-week mentorship to help you activate your gifts and connect with your star family. So that's what I've got coming up next. And then your conference in May, of course. And then I
Right.
have 2 Mount Shasta retreats in July. I have not made the websites for those yet. I know those will go like really fast though.
And your Egypt. We're going.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
Egypt.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
biggest,
We're going to
like a
Egypt.
huge trip. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so
That's
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
and
I'm probably gonna cry a lot on that trip. I've really being in Sedona, like the Sedona energies are so just so much Egyptian energies was coming through for me there, and I don't know.
right.
Yeah, and it's gonna be an amazing trip. So I'm excited and looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
I went to Egypt last year. Amanda and I went last year with Carrie
Mm.
Cassidy. It was phenomenal. You guys are gonna have such a good time.
yeah, I
It's
can't
a
wait.
special place. Yeah.
I really
And
feel like a big activation, really big activations are gonna take, like
Mm.
activating soul gifts,
Oh yeah.
memories, boom, 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 boom.
we're
Suddenly
gonna
we're like high priests and high priestesses working all
Yeah.
this magic. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I can totally see you're gonna have some
we're
incredible
gonna access the Hall of Records physically. We're
yeah.
gonna
access
go
to Hall
there.
records. Yeah.
Yeah.
Under the
Um,
under the right paw, the Sphinx or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
apparently.
supposedly.
We're gonna find those
Well,
spaceships.
one of those
Right.
TikTok time travelers predicts that in 2025, an entire underground civilization under Egypt is going to be, quote, discovered, and people are going to be able to tour it.
Oh,
That's a TikTok time traveler. None of that stuff ever comes true. But
yeah.
I
Which
mean,
timeline is that from? Like,
yeah,
right.
and
That's a
or it
problem.
could be they could be like
Hey,
actual time
maybe.
travelers, but getting information from other timelines, right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Um,
Right.
yeah, and Lily is saving all of her juicy intel for our conference. She's gonna just drop bombs when she's on stage and blow everybody
Yeah.
away. No, no pressure.
Exactly.
Oh, I mean, I feel it. I'm going through so many shifts right now, so much just is just happening. I
Right,
can't even imagine where we're gonna be in the next in 3 months from now,
right,
let
right.
alone May.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
So, guys,
Right.
take advantage of the early bird special and grab your tickets for Rebels of Disclosure 2025 at journeytotruth.online. That link is below in the description. The early bird sale ends on Black Friday. The live stream passes and the 4-day passes are both on sale. Until then, take advantage of that. We hope to see you there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's our fourth one. And there will be a location change for the fifth one, but we're not releasing those details yet until it's set in stone. But we're really, really excited
We're
if it
excited
all
though.
if it all works out. We
Hands up.
can't wait to announce it. So stay tuned for all that. And guys, we love you so much. And don't forget, if you want to follow us and have access to our exclusive content, you can sign up for our Patreon. It's only $5. And my story that we've actually been releasing quite a few things over there. So if you want access to all that stuff, it's only $5. That link is below in the description. And I guess that's it. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. Until next time, have a great evening, everybody. We love you.
Hi
Thank you.
guys. Love
Thank you
you.
for your support, your love, and all of the above.
Thank you. Yes.
And I gotta get to this. Always gotta get to the page so I can end the live stream. All right, guys. Good night. We love you.
Bye.
Bye guys.